Yeah,
Can you also on the current projects?
yeah, I was just gonna do that. Yeah.
The Plymouth Township Planning Commission meeting will come to order at 6:30. And if the secretary, please call roll.
Dennis Sabolsky.
Here.
Tim Boyd.
Here.
Stuart Pop here. Bob Dorshevitz.
Here?
Dan Callahan.
Excused.
Okay. Bill Ikes.
Here.
Dave Ladoway.
Here.
Okay.
And the approval of this evening's agenda, there'll just be one small change. We will move the Plymouth Flex item, which is 7A. That'll be right after the discussion of the gray greenhouse. So with that change, is there a motion to approve the agenda as modified?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the agenda as modified.
Support? Is there anyone support?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Boyd and supported by Commissioner Pop to approve the modified agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 18th?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the Planning Commission meeting minutes of June 18th.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Pop and supported by Commissioner Boyd to approve the minutes of the June 18th meeting. And is there a motion to approve the minutes of the study session of July 2nd?
I move to approve the minutes of the study session of July 2nd.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Dorshevitz and supported by Commissioner Boyd to approve the July 2nd minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Is there anyone here that wishes to comment on a non-agenda item? Okay, so moving on. Application 2564, the Gray's Greenhouse Conditional Rezoning with a planned unit development option as an overlay. And Ms. Howe, your report.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Laura Howarth McKenna. The application before you is for 8820 Lily Road, commonly known as Gray's Greenhouse. The property is 6.5 acres in total and consists of 2 separate parcels. The northern property is vacant and contains just a wooded area, where the southern parcel contains the greenhouse as well as the farmhouse, the residence, and an accessory barn structure. The applicant is before the commission tonight to ask for 2 approvals. The first is a conditional rezoning from the R2A Multiple Family Residential District to the OS Office Service District. And that is a conditional rezoning request where the applicant has voluntarily offered to develop the site under a planned unit development, a PUD, so that there is a larger degree of certainty as to what could be developed on the site in the future. So we'll start with the conditional rezoning. I'll go through that criteria and the recommendation, and then we'll move into the PUD option since they are tied together. So for the conditional rezoning, wanted to just start off by acknowledging that the way the township zoning ordinance is written, the applicant could not propose a PUD today under the current zoning. So a PUD is not allowed when the underlying zoning is residential. So in order to even seek the planned unit development, it must first be rezoned to office or commercial or industrial district. So the applicant has proposed the OS Office Service District. I'm on page 2 of our report, and here we note where the applicant has voluntarily offered conditions that are tied to this rezoning. These are noted in the applicant's letter and briefly include the following 6 conditions. The applicant will provide an enhanced buffering area and vegetation trees on the site within the parking areas and along the northern boundary to mitigate any potential impacts on the adjacent residential area. The applicant will restrict business hours of any on-site business to 11 p.m. closing time, so nothing can be open later than 11. The applicant is prohibiting any drive-through businesses or drive-through restaurants, so that would include a fast food establishment or a drive-through coffee shop or a bank with tellers and ATMs. Those uses are not permitted. The fourth condition is that the applicant states that other than the uses listed above and on our proposed site plan, which is tied to the PUD, all the other principal permitted uses in the C2 commercial district will be restricted. Condition offering number 5 regarding events. For any events that consist of over 150 people, a parking and shuttle plan will be coordinated with the township to mitigate the parking of vehicles in surrounding businesses or neighborhoods. And lastly, the applicant offers a light touch traffic study to be conducted by a local civil engineering firm. One important detail to note at the bottom of page 2 is that if this property is not developed as a planned unit development in the future, with the specific mix of uses that the applicant is proposing, the site would revert back to the R2A multiple family district. So there is that catch-all. On the third page of our review, we just outline the different steps in this process. Because there are 2 applications running concurrently, we have the conditional rezoning in red, that is this review. That's a recommendation by this body to the Board of Trustees. Simultaneously, the planned unit development is running, and we are at stage at 2I, the PUD option, which also requires a public hearing tonight and is a recommendation to the Board of Trustees. So I want to make it clear that this is not a site plan. Any specific uses, buildings, landscape plans, that would come during the site development phase. This is just to secure the rezoning and move to the Board of Trustees with the understanding that there is also the PUD option tied to it. Moving into the conditional rezoning review on page 4, we lay out the 6 criteria that the township must evaluate a rezoning request against. The first criteria is, will the proposed rezoning be in accordance with the basic intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance? We lay out the different existing land uses, the different zoning designations, and the future land use designations of the current 2015 master plan. And as you can see from the table, the subject site is really surrounded by a range of uses. There is single family to the west across Lily Road. There is single family and multifamily to the north. There are industrial and even some heavier industrial directly to the east of the property. And then south in Canton Township, there is a mix of an industrial, commercial, and auto-oriented uses, including a gas station, as well as the Plymouth Canton Airport. Based on the context of that mix of uses at this intersection, we find that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the purpose and intent of the ordinance as it furthers the purpose and intent statements actually of both the R2A multifamily designation and the OS service designation. Both of these zoning districts are intended to provide a transitional area between residential uses and more intense uses, but utilize different standards to do so. We note that the applicant's proposed conditions that they are voluntarily offering will help mitigate impacts of higher intensity development, and that additional community benefits are provided through this proposal as a PUD, as opposed to just conventional zoning and development. So we find that this standard is met. The second criteria is, will the proposed rezoning further the comprehensive planning goals and policies of the township, and is it consistent with the future land use map of the master plan? So in our findings, we note several goals first that are in the 2015 master plan that this project does further. The first is Goal A, guide the development of the township in a manner which will create, preserve, and enhance the positive living environment of the community. We note that this is achieved in a number of ways with this development, including a mix of uses that is specifically intended to serve local residents at a smaller scale, so this is not large-scale commercial. Will introduce a variety of housing types, again at a smaller scale, and will provide substantial, usable, high-quality open space. The second goal we note that aligns with the master plan is Goal C, promote the existing positive image of the community and guide development in a manner which encourages a sense of order, identity, and open space. And we note that the specific uses that the applicant has listed in their PUD option and the additional outdoor spaces and buffering supports this goal. We also note Goal D of the master plan, which is strive for a circulation system which will facilitate the smooth, safe, and efficient flow of all users, vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians. That this development would trigger improvements to the existing site access. It would improve circulation at the intersection of Joy and Lily from a vehicular standpoint, and it will add sidewalks along both frontages, as this is a gap in that sidewalk network. So while we note that there are several goals of the master plan that this proposal furthers, we do note that it does not specifically align with the future land use map. The future land use map intends that this property be developed as multiple family. While there is a element of multifamily that is proposed with this conditional rezoning in the PUD, there are additional uses that are being proposed. So it's not a strict alignment, but it does still support. The third criteria is will the zoning correct an equitable situation created by the zoning ordinance rather than merely grant special privileges. We do not find that this request will grant any special privileges. The applicant is pursuing this development as required in the adopted zoning code. So they're not asking for any variances. Criteria 4, will the amendment result in unlawful exclusionary zoning? No. The applicant is proposing a mix of uses on this site. Criteria 5, is the proposed zoning consistent with the zoning classifications of surrounding land uses? So as we noted in criteria 1 with the table of surrounding uses, none of the adjacent properties are zoned the OS office service. However, when you look at the zoning map, there are instances across the township where the OS district is located between the industrial district and the multifamily or single-family districts as a transition zone. And this is specifically one of the intents of the OS district, is to serve as a buffer to protect single-family residential areas from more intense uses. So we find that that standard can be met with this development. Lastly, criteria 6, can all the requirements in the proposed zoning classification, meaning the OS, be complied with on the subject site? So we break this out into both the dimensional standards perspective and also the use. So as far as dimensional standards, the table there on page 6 highlights that the proposed use could comply with the OS dimensional standards. So this is an indication that the applicant will not be creating a nonconformity and may actually rectify some of the nonconformities on the site today. So as far as dimensional standards, we find that that is met, and we'll talk a little bit more about those dimensional standards in the PUD review as well. And then as far as the proposed uses, again, as a voluntary condition, The site will be developed as a PUD with a specific list of uses. And if the PUD is not approved, then the site would revert back to its original zoning multifamily. In the applicant's PUD concept plan, they specify those uses, 1 through 7, as shown on the screen. So this includes the existing greenhouse, some additional square footage to add to the permanent greenhouse, an additional 5,000 square feet of event space, including potentially an additional farm shop, up to 28,000 square feet of commercial uses, and that is limited to professional offices, restaurants, cafes, retail, brewery, distillery, exercise studio, hardware store, retail, bakery, sauna, wellness, spa, bodega, neighborhood general store. So again, none of the drive-through restaurants with fast food. Up to 18,000 square feet of residential. This could take a variety of forms: walk-up, condo, apartment, or townhouse unit. Up to 3,600 square feet of covered pavilion areas for events or programming by the school district or the library. And a minimum of 1.25 acres of open space that will be dedicated to native plantings, enjoyment of the outdoor space, and other green infrastructure like rain gardens. So what 1 through 7 is stipulating is that these are the uses up to that amount of square feet that could be considered for this site. It's not locking specifically all of these uses in at those square footages. Those would be determined during the site development plan should the rezoning, the conditional rezoning, and the PUD option move to the next phase. These are guidelines to which the developer cannot go over the square footage. So it gives an idea of what could be developed on that site, but the actual buildings, the type of buildings, their square footages, those would be developed in the next phase. It is too preliminary for that. So based on the limited amount of uses that the applicant is proposing, we do find that this criteria can also be met. On page 8 is our recommendation. Again, as a conditional rezoning, the Planning Commission is charged with holding the public hearing tonight and making a recommendation, either for approval or denial to the Board of Trustees. They are the ultimate deciders on a conditional rezoning. There's also the option of tabling the application. Our recommendation, though, is that based on adherence to the 6 criteria, that the conditional rezoning to the OS Office Service District be recommended for approval to the board. And this is based on several findings of fact, that the proposal aligns with the intent of the zoning ordinance. It still protects the public health, safety, and welfare. The applicant has placed a number of voluntary conditions on the property and development to further this intent. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2015 master plan. The rezoning does not grant the applicant any unfair advantage or special privileges. The proposed development will still be required to meet all applicable zoning, design, and site plan requirements for planned unit developments per the zoning code. The amendment does not result in unlawful exclusionary zoning. And the proposed rezoning will be consistent with the zoning classification of adjacent land, as there are again, instances of the OS Office Service District located in these transitional areas throughout the township. So there's a development pattern that's already prevalent. I'm happy to answer any questions on the conditional rezoning first before we get into the planned unit development review, if that would be helpful, or I can move along to the PUD option review.
Well, let's see, are there any questions from the commission on this part of the proposal?
So this is like 2 separate votes effectively, right?
Correct. This will require 2 separate motions, one
Okay.
for the conditional rezoning and one for the PUD option. And they are tied together.
Yep.
All right, then I guess we could move on to the PUD part of this.
Okay, thank you. Our second report details the planned unit development option. And on page 2 of our report, we just kind of lay out in more detail the planned unit development process. This is a multi-step process. We're only at that first box, that first square, where it says PUD option. So that is where the public hearing will be held tonight and a recommendation to the board. The next step would be for the board to review the PUD option and either approve or deny of the option, which you can kind of think of as the concept. If that is approved, then the applicant would need to submit for the development plan, which is the actual site plan. And that's where it comes back before the Planning Commission. That may take a meeting or two. That, along with the PUD contract, are eventually referred to the Board of Trustees, who have the final approval on that. And then the applicant has 1 year to obtain building permits to solidify the development. So this is at least a 4-step process, if not more. On page 3, we start our PUD option eligibility review. So this is governed by Article 23 of the zoning ordinance. And the PUD must meet 8 eligibility criteria in order to be granted the option. So this review goes through those 8 criteria. The first is that it must conform to the spirit and intent of the PUD option, which we have listed there in the first paragraph. The PUD is intended to permit flexibility in the regulation of land development, encourage innovation in land use and variety in design, layout, and the type of structures constructed, achieve economy and efficiency in the use of land, natural resources, and the provision of public services and utilities, to encourage useful open space and pedestrian and non-vehicular interconnectivity, and to provide a more desirable living environment with housing, employment, recreation, and/or commercial opportunities, particularly suited to the needs of the residents of the Township of Plymouth. So we note that the goals for this property, as described by the applicant, further the intent of the PUD. So the first goal is to preserve the greenhouse structure and its history. And the second goal is to use the greenhouse as the central fixture and create a vibrant support network of commercial, residential, and outdoor uses and spaces that give sustainability to the entire property, but also becomes a destination in the community. We note that the proposed development as a PUD with this mix of uses would incorporate far fewer dwelling units than would otherwise be permitted on site within the current multifamily zoning district. And instead, it focuses on providing small-scale commercial spaces that would serve the new recreation and open spaces. The expanded planting area would also support the existing greenhouse, and allowing this flexible range of uses that the applicant has proposed with the site improvements is really what the planned unit development is intended to produce. So we find that criteria is firmly met. The second criteria is to create a benefit to users of the development and to the community that would otherwise be unlikely achieved without the PUD. We note that there are numerous benefits that this PUD brings. The first is the mix of land uses. The mix of uses will generate, we note, traffic at different times of the day or week, so overall have less of an impact on the neighborhood than developed as just multifamily developments. In terms of environmental improvements, an acre and a half minimum, or an acre and a quarter, minimum of the site would be dedicated to open space, including some green infrastructure elements. which are not normally required under traditional zoning, and would further the township's goal to protect the natural environment. And lastly, we note that there are just sort of general site improvements that may potentially not be made without this PUD option. I think it's also important to note here that the existing greenhouse and the barn are already non-conforming uses, right? The property is zoned multifamily today, yet those are not multifamily uses, yet they are still able to operate in harmony on the site. So this would be an extension of that. And it would also alleviate an existing non-conforming use in the township. So the PUD would alleviate that. The third criteria is that the site would contain either natural assets or natural assets that would otherwise be eliminated without the use of a PUD. So the applicant has provided some information about the existing topography and woodlands of the site. We note that there really are limited natural features. There are some strands of trees, however, they don't appear to be quality, and there are some invasive species on the north side. So it would be a benefit to remove those and plant quality trees that would contribute to the long-term environmental sustainability of the township. One important environmental distinction is regarding the land coverage. So in the conditional rezoning review, we briefly touched on the dimensional requirements, and this is tied to that. So in the multifamily district, the maximum land coverage for buildings is 30%. And with the applicant's proposal, only just over 15% of the land is proposed for building. So the applicant is proposing half of the amount of land coverage that they would otherwise be allowed to build upon under the conventional multifamily zoning. So we note that this will provide additional green space benefits that would otherwise not be achievable. The fourth criteria is that the site contains natural or man-made features of significance, which can be protected through incorporation into the PUD to minimize negative effects on adjacent properties. And this is a very important criteria for this proposal because this PUD option does preserve and enhance the existing historic man-made resource of Gray's Greenhouse. As we just discussed, the greenhouse is currently non-conforming in that multifamily zoning district, and this PUD would allow the owner to further invest in the maintenance and enhancement of the existing structure and to ensure its survivability moving forward. The fifth criteria is that the development be designed in harmony with the character of the immediate area and support the stability of adjacent development in the general area. We find that the local mix of uses that are proposed with this development and the limited residential does lend itself to being compatible in this location. We talked a lot about the transition of uses, and this furthers that. We note here, and the applicant will discuss this during their presentation, but as part of this process, the applicant held a community engagement event of their own at Gray's Greenhouse to receive feedback, and there were a lot of positive comments that resulted in that to see the greenhouse remain. In terms of the building locations, kind of the massing, the bulk of the buildings and the height. We note that the layout and footprint of the buildings creates a sense of a more organic distribution of site features. Without the PUD, the Planning Commission may not have as much control or influence on the placement and siting of buildings than they would under this scenario. And included in that is that the mixed-use buildings that are proposed would not be greater than 2 stories in height, whereas the maximum height in the OS district and the multifamily is 2.5 stories. So this would actually be less intensive, intrusive in terms of building height and massing, and reduce those sight lines. In terms of building design character, at this stage in the process, the architecture, the building plans are not required. It's really too preliminary for that. That comes later with the site development plan. But the applicant has provided some kind of character imagery to give a sense of what development on that site might look like. And as a PUD, the township has more of an opportunity to work with the applicant on the design of those buildings and the architecture. Lastly, regarding stable development for this criteria, we don't find that this would impact the adjacent uses as it still provides for that transition. The next criteria is that the use would not generate traffic that adversely impacts adjacent properties or creates conflicts with the normal traffic flow, and this includes pedestrians. The applicant has offered as one of their conditions to provide a more comprehensive traffic study, and that really would come later once the uses are concretely defined and proposed. However, just based generally upon what they are intending to do, they anticipate that daily traffic at the site would be increased only by approximately 2%. So that would still need to be vetted, but at this time, we don't have exact square footages, we don't have exact uses, so it's really hypothetical. What we do know is that as part of this development, the circulation of that intersection would greatly be improved. Currently, the way the drive approaches are located on Joy Road presents a dangerous situation. The new site entries, one onto Joy further from the intersection and another on Lily further north at the end of the property, would help break up anticipated traffic and create a safer environment. This aligns with the master plan objective to reduce the potential for vehicular conflicts by keeping the number of curb cuts along major thoroughfares and collector roads to a minimum and encourage the use of shared access points. We also note that pedestrian connections will be improved as part of this, both internal to the site and along the perimeter to Joy and Lily. Regarding parking, again, this is still conceptual, but based on the potential square footages that the applicant has provided, 207 spaces would be required, and the applicant is showing on their concept plan 221 spaces. So there's additional green space should that be necessary down the line to accommodate even additional parking. So there is the space to accommodate parking for these uses. And again, a parking study could be triggered during the site development phase. The 7th criteria is that the intensity of uses must not be so that it would generate noises, vibrations, odors, glare, reflection of light, heat, or other external effects which would not be compatible with the existing land uses surrounding the site. And based on the applicant's limited uses that they are proposing on the site, we do not see a concern with any of these. at 6.5 acres of the site, it can be so designed to minimize disruption. And the last criteria is in considering of an existing developed site, the PUD would facilitate redevelopment for a property that may be aging, functionally obsolete, or such that the commission finds that the redevelopment would create a substantial benefit to the township. And we note that this is, again, a non-conforming use and structure on the property, and that without additional support on the site to maintain the historic greenhouse, that the property may become functionally obsolete. So we feel as if this last criteria really is met because it allows the property owner to bring in a greater range of uses and support the operation of the historic greenhouse. Page 10 of our report details our recommendation. Again, this is a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, who have the ultimate authority for the PUD option. We are recommending approval with several conditions that are listed A through E. And following that, we list 4 findings of fact that support this recommendation of approval based on compliance with those 8 PUD option criteria. I'm happy to answer any questions about the PUD, and the applicant also has a presentation this evening. Engineering has reviewed the PUD option as well.
The applicant is here. Okay, if you want to step forward and give us your presentation.
What do you mean by a crosswalk? Yeah, you're not talking about a bridge, right?
I guess I just walked over. Just put your name down. Sure. There's 4 of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on up. I should have brought like a step stool just so I look. You, if you can.
Yeah,
right.
that's fine.
Yeah. So my name is Rachel Nish. I'm the current owner of Gray's Greenhouse. Am I supposed to be addressing you guys, or is that this guy? Okay. I'm Rachel Nish, current owner of Gray's Greenhouse. You want to just introduce?
Yeah, I'm Kyle Kiefaber. I'm an architect. I own my own business, Faber Design Co., and am a Plymouth Township resident.
Kristen Arthur is also interested in the development of the property, sustaining the greenhouse. I'm a Plymouth Township resident, married to Kyle.
I'm Adam Huttenstein. I'm the owner of Michigansett Natives, which is on the site currently. You see on the plan.
And this would be the new ownership group if all this goes through.
So you'd be partners in this venture?
Yeah,
This
so the 4 of us would become a new property group that would actually be purchasing the property from my LLC property right now. Yeah, so I think, I mean, everything Laura said was, you know, I don't want to be repetitive here, but just really briefly, the greenhouse property, it is about 6.5 acres, and it has been, you know, a part of Plymouth for a long, long time. Alex Winook was the original builder of the property. The greenhouse was built in 1928. He actually built the barn in 1918 and the house in 1919. And his initials are on the chimney, that AW, if you drive by. And basically 3 generations of his family then owned the greenhouse. Alice is sitting, I'm going to just do a call out. sitting in row number 2 over there. So Alex Winnock was her grandfather. And Alice's mom, Sylvia, who is widely known as Mrs. Gray, bought the business from her father in 1945 with her husband, Joe Gray. So that's when it became Gray's Greenhouse. So I grew up, going to the greenhouse. It's been a special place for me, as it has been for many, many people. And then I was lucky enough to convince Alice to let me hang around and work there for a few years before purchasing the business in 2019. So I'm in year 7 right now, and kind of have been just trying a lot of things to figure out how to kind of make it work financially, and haven't really been able to figure that out on my own, which is why I'm trying to rope these guys into it too. But just kind of the whys behind our plan a little bit is, the first and foremost, I'm here because I want the greenhouse to continue. I want the historic structures to stay. It is a community asset that people it's important to a lot of people. And I'm trying to figure out how to basically create additional revenue, both to sustain the operation of the business, but also to kind of proactively care for a collection of historic structures. So like I said, these are structures that are near, if not over 100 years old, and they need more than just paying the bills. There's a lot of expenses beyond that. So we're looking to develop the property, not in the sense of a traditional development, not as a profit-driven goal, but in the sense of building on the foundation of community and history, and the love of nature that already exists and really defines the space. So, sure, it's hopefully not development in the bad word development. It is development in terms of enhancing something that the community really loves and appreciates.
Sure.
I can stop rambling.
No,
Do you
it's
wanna-
great.
Okay.
I'll just talk about my why a little bit. Again, I'm an architect. When I founded my business, it was to work on projects that enhance the community. So I work on schools, I work on libraries, I work on community centers, small businesses, do historic preservation. And, this was just kind of like one of those things that you don't expect it coming, and it kind of like hits you in the face. And it's like you look at it and you explore it, and it's like you just can't stop thinking about it as an opportunity. Again, we are Plymouth residents and we have 2 young kids, and the idea of in 3 years that everyone in this room has gone here and experienced this, as it's been developed is just really, really a cool thought. And I do this, I've probably spoken in like 12, 15 of these in the last couple of years, but not on the side where like it really, really keeps me up at night thinking about this project and how much it really matters. And just how much time we've put in over the past few months, to try and make this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add, my main passion, I guess, would be more so the land and the preservation of the property. The greenhouse is super cool. The first time I ever visited here, met Rachel, like I had literal goosebumps at just how neat and unique this place is. So it's one of the 3 oldest greenhouses in Michigan that's still left, arguably the 2nd oldest, which is pretty cool. There's one, I think, from the 1700s on Grosse Ile. So it's really a neat, almost hidden gem of a place for the township to have. I grew up in the west side of Michigan. There's a lot of tourism and destinations and places that are similar to this, and that there are a few acres. People gather there. They do things, they slow down and do things that they don't normally do. Coming from the suburbs of Detroit or Chicago, so kids can kind of run around. There's open space, there's green, there's parks around, but this is a little more interesting, I think, what we're trying to propose, where parents can have coffee while their kids are running around. We've got plants, we've got butterflies flittering around. It's kind of an idyllic type place, at least in our minds. So yeah, just eager to get going and hope that it's you guys see it as an asset to the township as well.
You're good. Okay. So I guess it sounds a little bit redundant now, but the goals for the property are to create kind of a vibrant kind of a vibrant support network for the greenhouse. So like I said, I feel like I've kind of tried a bunch of different avenues to generate enough revenue to sustain not only the building and a business, but also, the people, myself, employees who work there. And that's been a really challenging thing to do. And what I've kind of thought and had conversations about for many years now is, wouldn't it be cool if this was actually part of a campus of kind of compatible, like-minded, but more just compatible, supportive destinations. So it's not a tomato season destination, which is, kind of where we're at now, and more of like a, every week you stop there. So I don't know if you guys are familiar over in Ann Arbor, like the Argus Farm Stop kind of model, someplace that's really local agriculture, events, kind of a hub of activity that people stop by every morning for their coffee. They stop by the bakery, they do their produce shopping there. And it's not just like, we love you guys so much, we love these tomatoes so much, we will see you in May. And it's just, we need more traffic than that. So that's been the primary goal for me anyway. And then also kind of, as Kyle said too, just thinking about this as a destination for people who are, not necessarily just coming for the greenhouse, both in the Plymouth Township community, but also in surrounding communities. I mean, this, there's nothing like this in Canton. There's nothing like this, anywhere nearby. And it really would kind of bring a lot of people to the area.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
And this vision board is awesome.
Yeah. I was kind of speaking to like the opportunity that it can create, and I think, the vision really is to just create a lot of opportunities within the township. So there's, again, the opportunity to have a free place, a park, essentially, that people can come and run around and be without having to pay any money. There's the opportunity, for kids and parents to like share moments and emotions there. There's an opportunity for, husband and wife or, two friends to open a coffee shop, open a bakery, as part of this larger plan. And that's just what we are trying to create. And we have got a lot of support. I don't know the exact number of letters. I think it's like in the 30s, both from individuals and businesses. And I don't know how many, were sent directly in. But we presented a lot of these visions and vision board stuff at the community event that we had. And, again, these plans, which you have seen here. And so just kind of illustrating that a little bit. And I think that there's a picture of my kids in the bottom left-hand corner. And I think that's like one of the most interesting ones because it's like this little tiny sandbox. And like they're both just like having a ball. And like every time you come in there, there's kids at this little tiny sandbox like having a blast in the greenhouse. And so like if we can expand that to be something that's an acre of just like fun, like picture what that does as an asset for Plymouth Township. And again, that's just kind of like echoing a lot of the sentiment for the people that were here that were supporting and just the neighbors and people that we've talked to, throughout this couple-month journey of like coming up with all this and, working through it and getting it to this point right now. Again, this is just kind of like a report. I don't know if you have this or not. We had this and I didn't think it was something that we should submit, and then I sent it to Laura kind of recently. But this just kind of, the idea of this being a community asset and a community project, it has to be community driven. And so that was a big piece of it. And just having that one event was not the only thing that we're gonna do. So like along the way, as we develop what this plan is gonna be, like we want the community's feedback on that. And we asked questions at this thing to get feedback that helped us get to here. It helps us steer a little bit, even since the images and stuff that you've seen. We've talked to, again, different businesses, art foundations about doing programming. We got a letter from the Plymouth District Library that they're interested, if this goes through, as another like extension of their programming that they can provide. Which is also very interesting, like geographically. You know, it kind of spreads out where the library is, over, you know, the large Plymouth district that they have. So yeah, I think we had 75-ish people that showed up for this event, with like a 2-week notice, which is pretty good.
You happen, you know, we're not going to be talking about site planning, but many people that come would like to visualize this a bit more. Do you happen to have a slide of this sort of map type thing?
Yeah,
Or
sorry.
did you already have, okay.
Well, that's,
great.
I didn't know, I know that Laura had kind of like gone through each of it, and so I don't, if we want us to go through, I'm more than happy to, but I just didn't want to be like over redundant with it, so.
Right. I think it helps people conceptualize, see.
For sure, for sure.
Okay.
So this is just kind of like a 3D massing, kind of like elevated from the intersection of Joy Road and Lily Road. Let me see if I can find the green. So the buildings that are in purple, the house in the corner, the existing house, the existing barn, and then the greenhouse, and then the boiler building that sits behind that. Those are the existing buildings. And as far as like how we are going to approach this project, and Tilly's Cut Flower, which Carrie is here, Lisa's space there, and then Adam, this is his business, Michigan NC Natives. And so one of the basic site things that I think everyone notices that goes there is that just pulling into this, if you're trying to turn a left like 50 feet from the stoplight, is not very fun. And so moving the entrance down to the end of the site will allow a little bit more traffic and not back people up at the light, and force you kind of to like make a choice of going into the turn lane, you know, to get through there. So the idea is that we would close that off and that this would become sort of like an event court area where a food truck could pull in there and you could have a small event, or food trucks could pull in there. You could have like another small event where you're setting up tables out here and shade structure and, you know, a tent, that could hold, you know, 100, 150 people. And it just kind of is sort of a central element to these 3 existing buildings. And then, you know, creating a larger restroom building as part of this barn, and then, you know, the farm shop that Rachel was just mentioning would be part of like the early phases of, you know, developing another entity on the site that can bring in revenue and brings in foot traffic. And then also, you know, Adam, we can speak to this if you want to, but, you know, he's kind of got a plan for clearing out the middle of the site with the invasive species and the tree of heaven and buckthorn and all that. But that would be where this is right here, and I can click it back to the beginning just to kind of like do
Yeah, I'm a certified applicator, as is my partner Reed. So we were able to do commercial applications for invasive species. So we worked on tree of heaven in the past. It's a particularly nasty one. We've done some work at Miller Woods nearby. It takes about a year and a half to remove. What's even more impactful in their studies about the economic impact is they can spread a mile underground. That's pretty amazing, and impact nearby properties. Not to get too in the weeds, but they are,
I'm sorry.
they're allelopathic, so they release chemicals that kill other plants around. So over time, if you neglect an area like this, the woods will basically turn into nothing but tree of heaven. So it's a particularly nasty one that I'm sure is into the neighborhood to the west. It's probably to the neighborhood to the north, and kind of spreads around and finds these places. So there's some of the larger ones I've seen that have probably been there for 20 or 30 years back in that area. So while I have the mic, the only one other thing I would say is Kyle's drawing potentially he had to kind of slice away that tree canopy and coverage to see the buildings. So my first take even was like, where'd all the trees go? I think it's a more, you wouldn't be able to see it in the site plan from that angle. So I think that's one thing that's, had to look this way so that you can see it, but there'll be far, far, far more trees and actual, meadow space than it looks like in the drawing. So.
Yeah, and I think that one of the distinctions is, I think was in the report, sorry, that was in the report was like that there'd be a acre and a quarter of open space, and like that was just what this area right here is. So there's far more like open space and landscape space that will be part of the property than just, just this middle space. But that's what that was to designate, and I realized that probably wasn't quite specific enough. And it could have been designated better on the site plan, as that's what we are intending. But I think that, like, I would be surprised if we didn't have a good bit more than an acre and a quarter of open space and landscape space.
Well, we're going to be talking into just a minute when we open up the public hearing. Okay, thank you.
And as part of developing this, with the native planting and getting rid of the invasive species and, having some sort of natural water feature, that enhances a business that's already on the site. Like Adam does aquatic plants that clean the water. And so this sort of gives him another, like, advertising thing that helps, again, augment a building that's currently on the site. And then the Argus type farm stand, farm shop, again, it enhances the greenhouse, it enhances Tilly's flowers, gives them another place and an avenue to sell those things. So we're trying to create like a good robustness of the site where it's all working together. And then to the very north where the trees are currently, where, it is more wooded and covered, we would be a place where we could add other commercial and potentially residential units above and as townhouses beside. And really that's just to help, again, generate this campus. And so they would be buildings and tenants that we would seek out and find more than just advertise, open build, or we would definitely not spec build these without having a potential, tenant for these in place. And I guess that's another reason is like, okay, for us to be able to make this site work, having the option of having a residential component is another way to, again, generate the revenue that could help sustain the site. And so that could be something where it's like we have people that are saying, hey, we want to live in these, and we could build 3 units and then have the spec unit or, the spec commercial space be below it. That's not ideal, but I think that in any development, you're trying to, create a bunch of different avenues for success. And I think that is that's the approach that we're taking to help ensure success in this development. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I missed.
Yeah, I think we could say it all again, but I feel like we've probably.
Well, what we'll do is I have to hear from the engineering report yet.
For sure.
And then we'll ask the commissioners to see if they have questions for you. And then we will open up the public hearing and hear what other questions or concerns that the public may have.
Sure.
So hang up there and we will open it up for commission comments, questions, concerns.
Engineers report,
We're going to get, well, you want to do it now or?
it's up to you.
Well, let's focus on what they just said and then
Okay.
we'll switch to engineering.
Wait, tell me again about the residential. They're only above like a commercial space or what?
In this particular drawing, that is the case.
Okay.
I think written in there, it opens the avenue for like a townhome. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just to like meet need. I think being able to do something above a commercial space, to me, makes more sense for this site and would be more advantageous. But I know that like townhomes are a very popular thing, and I think last planning commission meeting, I came and, Pulte was presenting, different housing choices, and it's like that, if that's what's being purchased in Plymouth, it would be silly of us to like go completely away from that and, stray in a completely different direction. So at least that gives us an avenue to deliver a product that people are wanting to buy.
Not to say we're building a bunch of Pulte homes on the
No,
side.
definitely not. That wasn't the
Yeah.
case, but it's, you know, just trying to, I don't know if hedge our bets is the right term, but like, yeah, create some balance on the site with that.
But your intent is to make these mixed use, right?
That's the intent.
Every one of these buildings will be a mixed use building?
I think not necessarily.
Not everyone. Again, I think within site planning approval, for example, like, we could come and this could be all one building together. I don't think that would make sense from a bunch of different building code reasons, but like these two buildings could be essentially together, and you could have 6 units and like a larger commercial space. But I think like being able to have the mixed use just creates some vibrancy. And I know mixed use is a scary word, especially like I've had so many mixed use conversations, and I've done so much more research just in conversations that I think we've had, or I've had with a few of you about that, and I'm happy to go into some of that research. But if done the right way and designed the right way, it's a tool and an avenue for growth. I started my career in Nashville, Tennessee. I know Plymouth is not Nashville, but in the suburbs and surrounding, the towns that were there grew because of really well-designed mixed use. And I saw it firsthand, I got to work on it firsthand, and the places that you all have mentioned to me about, well, this failed in this location, this failed in this location, I could talk more about that if you want me to, but I think a lot of it is just in the planning and design stages, and not really strategically thinking that through.
So Kyle, my take is that you're looking at doing the south side of this first, correct? And
That's
leaving
correct.
the north side. How far back are you going? What's your initial thoughts? Are you going to the, what do you call that, the Michigan, or the walking path area, or is it just the redoing the existing buildings?
You're talking about like when we first start. I think we would definitely start doing some of the walking path area, and us ourselves, with the capital that we have, is working on, really sustaining the existing buildings. There's a lot of work in fixing up that greenhouse, and the site work that's there. And so if somebody shows interest in doing one of the buildings on the north side because they hear about this project and the opportunity to be on the campus, like, we're not going to hold them back from doing that. We want that to happen, but we're not going to like actively push for doing that immediately.
What about some sustainability of, you talked about the fact that it's not generating enough income
Yeah.
to survive today.
Right.
So if you start investing in this property and you don't expand, don't have the real estate expansion on there, are you afraid that it's going to go away?
So I think,
No, go for it.
okay. So I think too, in that kind of what's now a south parcel, so basically walking path south, I think there is still quite a lot of space and even quite a lot of structure that's being currently underused. So I think, yes, kind of the blue buildings are sort of still a little bit like foggy, future, and we want to find really intentional tenants for those spaces. The Argus Farm Stop, which we have to come up with a different name because it won't be Argus Farm Stop, but that's within year and a half. I mean, that's really one of the very first goals, because I think that would be hugely beneficial for revenue and traffic. And I think the current idea is to actually put that in the barn, and then with adding that green kind of restrooms, some space to that. So that structure is already there. Definitely would need to be kind of fitted for that use. And then likewise in the house, I think we are currently kind of like scoping out different possible tenants for that. So I think filling that with a really cool tenant, like a really awesome, you know, coffee shop, bookshop, bakery, or I have a secret wish for a hardware store, but that's, who knows? That would help a lot. Right now, the house is used kind of to support the business, but it definitely has a lot more potential for a revenue source. So I think, you know, we really don't need to go much beyond the walking paths to make it a pretty vibrant space.
But you would do the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
to whatever size it ends up being, yes. Shifting the curb cut down would be huge, because if you have like the farm stop in the barn, you have the coffee shop in the house, and you have a pedestrian courtyard in between 3 historic buildings with picnic tables and lights, and, I mean, that changes the space dramatically without actually adding a whole lot of structure.
Okay.
And, you know, I kind of mentioned that would be an event space, but like we've really looked at trying to cater, you know, some specific things to like if a business wants to have, you know, like a foundation dinner or their Christmas party or something like that at this space in the greenhouse, you know, that's also something that's being underutilized right now as a revenue generator. So,
Kyle, the blue buildings at the north, I think as I mentioned to you, the track record of mixed use, retail and commercial first floor in Southeast Michigan, certainly in a number of test cases, have been pretty miserable. Can you provide us with examples of where that approach was actually successful? Perhaps not in Southeast Michigan, but in some of the other areas where you have worked on these projects? So, because what you're really asking us to do is look at this, approve this entire piece of land and its entire use. So those blue buildings at the north really are something that we need to do due diligence on our end, because if we look at the track record here, it's not that good.
for sure.
So is there something more that you could provide us, real-world examples of where this type of approach on the blue buildings has been successful?
Yeah, I like, do you want me to do that right now, or is that something like homework per se? I can do both.
It's probably homework, but could you just give us kind of a high-level summary here, something that could build our
Yeah,
confidence?
I mean, I do think even in this area right now, I mean, downtown Plymouth has a good bit of that. I know the Mayflower building is one of those that is like kind of looked at as, oh, that's a failure. I mean, there was a Panera Bread in there, but like that building was set up to be a residential building, and the bottom floor, like the scale of it feels very residential. The windows are really tiny. You can't see what's in there. So like you're not going to get any like actual retail tenants. You could get a restaurant tenant like Panera Bread, but like if Panera Bread is moving out to a new location, my guess is it was too expensive for Panera Bread. And if it's too expensive for Panera Bread, like who's it not too expensive for? So like I don't know that that's a case of like that mixed use being wrong. I think it was just designed for the wrong uses and designed the wrong way. So I worked on a project when I was in Nashville. It was a developing neighborhood. I'm trying to remember how many units it was, but it was probably like 12 or 15 units. They were like live work units. So they were built in a way that whoever bought them could, you know, make the bottom floor like an additional bedroom, or it was like a shop. So they could have a barber shop, they could have a, you know, a small business, an insurance business out of it, and it was situated on a corner, and it was the first building in that development. And now, I mean, that whole like 8-10 acre plot around it is like completely full of 5-6 story buildings. That's not the goal here, but like it was designed well for the needs of that community. And I don't know, I like,
Downtown Plymouth.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna, like, before I got into the Mayflower building, but like that whole downtown strip is exactly that. It's, you know, it's lower floor retail, upper floor, you know, residential, and
Where is that at?
just on Penniman, like just in downtown Plymouth.
Oh, okay, you're talking
Yeah,
about
sorry,
the
I
old
did
part, yeah.
like jump there,
Okay.
but yeah, the Nashville location, it's Wedgwood, Houston is the neighborhood. You know, again, I can provide the homework for and show that, hey, this was the first building there, and I can provide a today, you know, 8 years later, what that looks like. And, you know, again, it was a catalyst for growth. Like that one building spurred the rest of the development, and the developers saw that as like the first piece, which we're not even doing. We're building around a greenhouse. We're building around its own, you know, we're working around an existing thing that is very vibrant and very loved in the community.
Which I do think is one area where your proposal is different than some of these other failed mixed-use developments. So I think that's a really key point.
Well, and yeah, well, and the other one that I know is talked about a lot is Cherry Hill. And I actually, so my boss at that same firm in Nashville, like worked very briefly on the Cherry Hill initial development. And he kind of mentioned that he remembered there was some sort of tenant that was going to go in that corner building. And then at the last second, it like sort of vaporized and they had to change their plan. And I found an article that was saying that was actually Bush's that had said, hey, we're going to go in that corner building. And at the last minute, because it was 2008, 2006, I forget the date exactly, but you know, around the downturn of the economy, and Bush's got offered another location at half the cost. And so when that happens in a design process, and as a developer too, you're like, oh shoot, I had Bush's that was going to be this like amazing tenant, and now who do we have? And you're scrambling to change the design of that building, and like you can tell the design of that building, like something's not great about it because it was kind of supposed to be a Bush's, and then now it's, hey, we're going to break it up and make a bunch of different tenants out of it. So again, I think that's just a product of design and how that played out. And if something is also vacant for 2 years, you're probably wondering like, well, why is it vacant for 2 years? Why do I want to be the person that goes in there? And it's at the end of that, you know, stretch of housing and development, whereas if maybe that was in the middle of everything, the result might be a little bit different. I don't know. Again, that's just speculation and experience, and you know, I don't. It's easy to say this from this, but like we wouldn't want to do this if we didn't think it was to be successful.
I think one difference also that Kyle touched on earlier is, you know, the plan is not to just build a bunch of empty buildings and put a bunch of big for lease signs on the windows, which is not the aesthetic anyone wants. And again, you know, as with Cherry Hill, once you kind of drive by this vacant storefront long enough, you don't really want to go rent it. And it does sort of fuel that problem, whereas these will sort of be developed in conjunction with a tenant that we think is a good fit. So it's not going to be just the most, you know, generic set of buildings that we see on every corner right now, sitting there empty. That nobody wants that.
So the tenants would lease the space from you guys. The residential is lease or buy? Or you don't know?
It could be both. I think it's set up to be in both ways.
Either,
And
okay.
like, I mean, as you probably know too, like it'd be great for us to build it, but if we have, you know, somebody that comes in and says, hey, you know, Ace comes in and says, hey, we want to build a really cool hardware store. You know, would you know, we would partner with them potentially. We would do residential and they would build the store. Or, you know, if it's just a straight commercial building, like, you know, we would condo off that piece and they could sign a 20-year lease to, you know, build that building and, you know, help, again, make the site more vibrant. So I think there's a bunch of different ways that could go. Yeah.
Have you reached out to any potential folks that might be interested in leasing space? So have you started that process?
Yeah, I mean, this is, well, sort of different. We've definitely worked with Argus quite a bit. I mean, done their classes and whatever on kind of how to open those stores. And so I have relationships with them. So that's helpful. That's not a tenant, but that is helpful. Right now I am beginning the hounding process at Literati in Ann Arbor, which I think would be a really awesome Plymouth addition. It's an awesome bookstore in downtown Ann Arbor if you haven't been. What are other ones?
I mean, Arbor Distillery showed interest.
Yeah,
kind of
Ann Arbor
early on.
Distillery. They said, they have one license available. They would love Plymouth. They've been looking at Plymouth for a long time. This would be a beyond cool space, but they basically, when I called them, it was pre this, and I was like, do you want to be in the greenhouse? And they're like, we can't do that. So anyway, that was a little unrealistic, but they love the idea of being associated with the greenhouse and being on kind of a unique property.
And our intent also is, because this is a community project, and because I think there's coffee shops in Plymouth that we really want to reach out to do the coffee as part of the farm stand, or own a coffee shop. But I think that getting through this process and not, it makes it a lot easier when you have something tangible to say, hey, yeah, there's momentum on this, but until we get through this process, and if you guys vote on this and provide a recommendation, the trustees do, then we have a lot more momentum and the project's more tangible, the conversation's better. And again, that's our 2 years down the line, hardcore focus while we work on, the stuff that we really need to do
You have mentioned
with the infrastructure now.
You mentioned hardware stores. Have you looked at an operation similar to Downtown Hardware in Ann Arbor?
Oh boy, fancy. They are, I haven't, I should talk to them. My love is Stadium Hardware, which, God, that is a good hardware store. Downtown Home and Garden is more of a retail kind of gift clothing shop. They have great bulbs, and they do have a lot of good, bird seeds, so they do have that kind of farmy element, which would be very cool. Another one, clearly I spend a lot of time in Ann Arbor, so I don't want to be overdoing that, but
Well, you live there.
I do live there. But
Don't disclose anything confidential here.
yeah, my address is no. But Stadium Hardware is an exceptional real hardware store. There's also Ace Barnes, which is I don't know if you've been. It's in the same kind of parking lot nearby. Those two together do kind of scratch that Downtown Home and Garden itch, although Downtown Home and Garden is beautiful. I worked there for about a day.
A coffee shop without a drive-through is, pretty limiting. That was one of the reasons Panera left downtown Plymouth, because they didn't have a drive-through. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think, again, I will go back to Argus again. They have a coffee shop. So their model is that they sell produce and other, meats and all that kind of things from local farmers. Farmers get 70%, so it's kind of a consignment model. The coffee and bakery, they run themselves, so they don't have a percentage. And they actually do 2/3 of their revenue is just coffee. And they have the worst parking. I don't know. They have maybe 3 spaces of parking. It's pretty terrible. And it's a super vibrant coffee shop. I think we don't really want the drive-through cars, pedestrian interference so much. We want a really walkable property. So it's a little bit of a different model.
And it is more of a destination to come here, but it's another reason to come to this destination if you have multiple things that you can do on one trip. Mm-hmm. And so that model works really well because, it's not solely reliant on just nonstop coffee traffic or drive-through traffic, sorry. There's no such thing as coffee.
But you were initially thinking of putting the coffee in the house? I mean,
We
Yeah.
have talked about it. It's,
fine. I was just thinking, if you're gonna park in the parking lot and walk to the house and walk back to your car, yeah.
Oh, that is so far away, you're
Yeah.
saying, from.
That's not.
But, all right,
Yeah, no, it's okay, it's okay. It could be, I mean, it could be in that farm,
Yeah, yeah.
excuse me, the Argus kind of barn extender building.
Yeah.
Um,
That's fine. I was
It-
just,
it-
I'm just throwing that out.
yeah, yeah.
I think the overarching word that's always in my mind is like a place to go slowly.
Yeah.
So if it's Tuesday morning and I'm late to work or I'm on my
Yeah.
commute, I'm going through a drive-through on Haggerty.
Yeah.
If it's Saturday or it's Thursday afternoon and I have some time off and
Yeah.
I'm, gonna slow drink it here, that's,
Yeah, yeah,
read a
yeah.
book, whatever.
Yep, that makes sense.
Are there any
We've
other,
never been big on convenience, so that's not.
any other questions or
Yeah.
concerns? Okay.
Yeah, I had a question on the ownership in the structure, Rachel. So you're the present property owner of the 6.73 acres today?
So, no, so currently it's 2 parcels. I am the property owner of the south parcel, and actually my dad, because he's just a nice dad, owns the north parcel. So when I bought Gray's, I couldn't buy the whole thing. And it was, I know the previous owners had been approached by developers at that time too, and I think the concern was, if we split this property and I can only buy the south, the greenhouse is gonna be just backing up to condos. And so my dad said, hey, I'll buy that parcel, I'll hang on to it, and the idea being that Gray's would eventually buy it back. I haven't been able to do that. So now, we're kind of in a good position where we can again kind of unify it as a parcel, but separate owners.
Oh, and your dad still owns the north part? Okay. And is Adam like a renter, tenant?
Adam leases, Adam rents
Okay.
from me. So I have kind of like a business LLC and then the property LLC, and Adam rents from that property.
Okay. Now, the 4 of you guys together are an entity, but you're not a business yet because you haven't subdivided
Because we don't know if
ownership.
this is a go, but if
Okay.
it's a go, we will be an entity, and then we will be purchasing the north parcel from my dad and then assuming that land contract. But
Okay. All right, that helps me. I mean, this is out of the box, it's creative, right? It's something that I don't think is unique to anything other than maybe the Bill's Beer Garden hardware store that's in Ann
Yeah,
Arbor. That's the
yeah.
only mini campus that I've seen locally, right in southeast Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that helps answer the ownership structure part, which was one of the questions I had. So thank you for being clear on that.
Anyone else? And then we'll move on to engineering report and public hearing. No? Okay, all right. You
Let's
set?
move on, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't you have a seat, and we're going to ask the engineering to give her report. All set?
Good evening. We received the preliminary PD option exhibits submitted for the Grayers Greenhouse project prepared by the applicant, and the following are our observations. A utility plan was not provided, but there are existing utilities around the site to serve the proposed development. There is an existing 12-inch diameter water main on the east side of Lily Road and on the north side of Joy Road. And there is an existing 12-inch diameter sanitary sewer on the north side of Joy Road and on the west side of Lily Road. Stormwater runoff is not addressed in the proposed site concept. A viable stormwater management system shall be proposed during site plan review. The stormwater control system and outlet will require approval and a permit from Wayne County DPS. Paving and circulation plan was not provided. During site plan, a traffic circulation showing turning movements around the site and the full maneuvering movement entering and exiting Lily Road and Joy Road for emergency vehicles will be required. The proposed development must dedicate the ultimate right-of-way. 60-foot right-of-way half width shall be dedicated to Joy Road and Lily Road. The appropriate setbacks shall be provided or variances might be required. Based on the availability of the existing utilities around the site, it appears that the proposed development can be designed to meet the engineering requirements of Plymouth Township. Therefore, we're recommending approval of the PUD option.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So we'll be opening up the public hearing in just a few moments, and I ask you that when you come forward, I think there's a sign-up sheet at the podium to sign in with your name and address. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. We ask you to be clear, concise, cogent, and most important, civil. So we will take a vote to see, is there a motion to open the public hearing at 7:54?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing
Okay?
right
Support.
now.
Moved by Commissioner Ikes and you support, and supported by Commissioner Boyd to open the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So I'll ask the secretary, we did receive some letters. You want to just summarize that?
Yes, we received 17 letters, and most, if not all, were quite positive. So,
And
Yeah.
no letters in opposition, is that correct?
yeah, no.
Right.
How many were from within the community? Because I noticed that they were coming from, like several of them came from far away.
From my count, there were two that were from Canton. There was one from Pinckney and one from Ecorse. And so in the material that we received from the applicant, they do mention that this is not only a local draw, but also Southeast Michigan. So Canton is right next door, but there's still Pinckney and Ecorse. And there might have been one with, in Wayne, I think.
Right, there was.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, who wants to be first?
Hi, my name is Paula Bowman. My husband and I, Gordon, own the property immediately to the north of this. We are the one lonely little house between Gray's and that field and the apartments. Change is hard, but we've been living in this house for 50 years and not had any movement. So I guess we feel we're kind of due, but I have 3 questions. On the online materials, there was a survey, and as you know, there is a right-of-way between our property and I believe that tree line to the far north, and there's a, I can't look at it anymore?
No, hang
Oh.
on, I'll bring it up on.
There's a right-of-way and there is a utility pole there. I guess I want to make sure first that there can be no building on that right-of-way, that would just stay vacant.
Where are you at? You're somewhere right around here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, there's a lot of trees there, you
You
can't
have to
see
go
it.
real close, but you can see there's a house in there.
Oh, yeah.
There we are. So there's a little, see, you can see the kind of brownish grass there. That's a right-of-way, and we want to make, okay, keep going to the right. A little more, okay. Just to the right of the fence is this strip of land. We still mow it, because it looks nicer when we do, but I'd like to make sure that that is not part of the transaction or the sale, and that there would be no building on that. Can you help me with that?
We'll ask that question.
Okay,
Yeah.
next question. If the PUD is granted, what is the maximum number of residential units that can be built on the property? And the third question is, if the PUD is not granted, and this was sold to a developer, I anticipate that the maximum number of residential units would be a whole lot higher. And I'm wondering what that number is,
Okay,
okay?
all right. Not sure we can give you a specific number, but we'll raise the issue up.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks for coming. Anyone else? Yes. Whoever wants to come in the future can just form a line there if you want.
Hi, I'm June Cutter, and I live in the township at 46920 North Territorial. I want to take a few minutes today to talk about listening. We've had a lot of big projects come to our community without really any early input from our residents. As an alternative, the team behind the proposed zoning change at Gray's Greenhouse has been carefully listening to what residents want by way of reading the township's master plan. Their project includes plans for considerable open space, enhancements of the historical Gray's site, and adaptive reuse of existing structures. All things listed in our master plan. Then the team went a step further and engaged the Gray's community and area residents at an open house which I attended. I can report a true feeling of community and energetic support for the project, much like the letters that you've received. At the open house, the project team specifically asked attendees what they wanted to see in a community-based project focused on nature and businesses supporting nature. The Gray's team listened to what the community had to say before even coming in front of our planning commission. A few years ago, the city of Plymouth hosted the author of this book, 13 Ways to Kill a Community. I've read it, so should all of you, and so should all of our trustees. The Gray's project is an example of a way to avoid killing our community, which includes 3 relevant examples. They're three of the 13 in this book. Don't engage youth. Reject everything new. And grow complacent. I don't want any of those things to happen to our community. Our master plan states that of the surrounding areas, City of Plymouth, Northville Township, Canton Township, Plymouth Township has the oldest average age of residents, 45 and a half years old. And that number is from 2018. I suspect we've continued to age since then, because back in 2020, the average age of a Plymouth Township resident was 39.8. The plans proposed for Gray's are great ways to create some differences between our community and those around us. It's a creative way to engage residents of all ages. The idea of taking a yoga class or a meditation session at the greenhouse in the middle of February is really appealing to me, as are a number of the other ideas that they've proposed. And I'm older than that average age. So it's time that our community stop saying yes to big box, no tax paying projects or racetracks, and start saying yes to new and innovative ideas brought to us by our own residents who are actually listening.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Wendy Harless, and I'm here representing 8959 Lily Road, which, if you look at the map, is right across the street from Gray's Greenhouse. First, I would like to thank everybody involved, Rachel, Adam, Kyle, Kristen, for coming to the community first, for asking for community input. It's so refreshing to see, a potential change. Like Paula said, change is not always easy. So it's nice that they're looking for input from the people who live around that. So thank you. I commend you on that. I wear many hats, but I'm also the chairperson of Plymouth Township's Historic District Commission, and I would like to say that I absolutely love that they are talking about keeping the historic structures. Typically developers come in and they want to demolish absolutely everything, and they call it the highest best use, which to me means I'm going to squeeze every nickel I can out of this property. I don't think that is the approach here. I love that they're talking about taking things slowly, that they're talking about finding businesses that support that whole idea of Gray's Greenhouse, which really is a special place. I have been shopping there since 1975 when I was 5 years old. I'm huge into gardening. I think everybody who knows me knows I love to garden. So I love going there because it's refreshing, it's different. They carry a lot of different plants that you can't find anywhere else. It does have that special sense of community. It's a very special place. And I love that they're talking about building on that and having businesses that make sense. I love that they're talking about working with each individual business to build a space that's going to work for them, but also work for the community. So I will say I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we need to keep coming together and having these meetings and make sure that everything is carefully planned out so that we get exactly what this community deserves. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for coming in. Anyone else? Okay. Then we, oh.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sharon Phillips, and I live on the smallest street in the township. It's 9060 Tucson Street, and we're just, adjacent to Wendy's property. And I just want to thank everybody, too, for being so open to community support and community input. That is so refreshing, like Wendy said, compared to what we've been through with other projects recently. I just had a couple suggestions. I know the township lacks a little bit of recreation, and if something could be put into there, like, I don't know, yoga, I know you were talking about that, little stores for kids to come for classes or even adults. I think that would be really helpful. And another thing is, when you're talking about the house, this just came to mind because yesterday I had the pleasure of going to Flyleaf in Grosse Pointe. I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's a combination bookstore, cafe, and it is so unique. It was just so awesome. Our book club went there, and I could see something like that going into the house. It was just so unique and so well attended, and something that would be really special to have in this township. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
I'll feel the rest of that in later. Hi there. My name is Don Wakefield. I am the president of the Great Lakes Arts Foundation. And we were recently made aware of the property and had a chance to meet them and look at their plan. And we are just starting to talk about perhaps implementing some of the arts on the property, maybe workshops and classes. In sculpture in particular, it's part of our mission is to promote the arts and to promote workshops for like stone, metal, wood, glass, and ceramics that could be implemented onto the property. And then so helping keep it self-sustaining with classes and workshops, maybe some special events throughout the year, holiday get-togethers and things like that. But like I say, nothing said yet, but we like the people and we'll continue talking with them to see if there's something we can work out. I live in Canton, by the way, but most of our followers and our board, they're in Plymouth and the surrounding area.
Who did you say you were with? I didn't hear.
Oh, the Great Lakes Arts Foundation.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sure. That's it, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay. Last call. All right. Oh, there you go. Sure.
My name is Ken Phillips. I also live at 9060 Tucson Street. And today I was going out to do some work at a neighbor's house. And when I came off on Revere Avenue to Lily Road, I wanted to make a left-hand turn. According to my watch, it was 3 minutes and 52 seconds. That's a big concern. And school's not even in session. When school's in session, from my door wall in my house, I can look right at Lily Road, and I see tons of traffic both ways. And now with all the roads and construction going on, it's always backed up. And I know when we have discussed Spar's greenhouse, a lot of our neighbors in that subdivision have said to you people that I can't make a left-hand turn. I have to make a right-hand turn, go to Joy Road, and go all the way to Main Street because it's such a hindrance, I think, to a lot of us that live in that subdivision and probably people that are driving to and from different places. So, you know, I'd like to see a traffic study done because when we discussed before about Spars and the traffic situation, I can't remember how many of you people nor the trustees said, well, that's Wayne County, that's not Plymouth Township. Well, once you have about 5 accidents a day, I think it's going to be a big, big concern. Thank you.
I have one question. When you were waiting for making that left turn?
Yes.
What time of the day was it?
It was 8:35 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
This morning.
Still considered rush hour in my mind.
Yes, it is, but wait till the school buses start.
Right. It was, the last couple of days have been a nightmare along Ann Arbor by Lily because it comes down to one lane because
Right.
of the construction.
Yes.
And so it's going to be a problem for a while until.
I know it is, but this is last year and the year before and the year before that. I can sit in my family room and look out and I see traffic backed up at 9 in the morning and then about 3 o'clock because that is a bus route, especially on Lily Road. So that's, I'm concerned about Gray's Greenhouse and all that traffic. What are you people going to do about that? You're going to widen it, put 4 lanes and a middle turn lane in it, or are you just going to keep it the way it is? Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I have a comment on that I'll make in a few minutes because I had first-hand experience with that myself. Anyone else? Okay, then we're ready to.
This gentleman wanted
Oh,
to speak.
oh, I didn't see her. Oh, okay. Come on up. Okay, take your time.
I didn't come here to criticize the project that we saw at the beginning. But it seems to me that they gave no consideration to trees, and it seems to me that in Plymouth Township, we're losing trees. And at some point, Plymouth Township's gonna have no trees. It's gonna be all businesses. And that those paths that they showed that people will walk on a hot summer day, nobody's going to walk those stupid paths unless there are some trees and some. I mean, I go to parks for a walk to walk in trees, and that picture was sterile. There wasn't any. It was all buildings and flat land, and we have. I think we have in Plymouth Township. I'm sort of new to township government, so I'm studying it at the moment. It seems to me don't we have a committee a tree committee?
There's an environmental leadership commission that really, they look at trees, but they look at all aspects of the environment.
I recently discovered this tree ordinance. I happen to have a copy here, but the part that struck me was Section 98.17, Tree Board. The Township's Environmental Leadership Commission is hereby designated as the Plymouth Township Tree Board in addition to the regular statutory duties. The tree board shall be responsible for advising township on matters pertaining to the protection, preservation, and reforestation of the township public and private tree canopy, trees, and woodlands.
Well, I'm not familiar with every aspect that the Environmental Leadership Commission does, but what you say is true. It's part of the ordinance, so they are in existence. I'm not sure what their activity is toward it. Maybe, Ms. Howe, do you know what they're doing regarding their role as a tree board?
I think it's just looped into the larger umbrella of them being the Environmental Leadership Commission and working towards keeping the designation of the Tree City and helping with the residential tree planting program and those avenues. The actual landscape plans and tree replacement is a responsibility of the Planning Commission and Board of Trustees.
And you should know that, oftentimes when a developer, when they take down certain trees, I won't go into all the detail here.
I'm sorry, I don't understand you.
Oh, should I talk louder?
Sure.
Oh. Does this help?
No.
Oh. Okay. Come on a little closer and I'll try to speak louder so everyone else speaks. So sometimes developers come in, they're taking down trees and they can't replace the trees that they're taking down according to the ordinance. But they'll pay money into a fund here into the township, and then that money is used to plant trees in the public spaces. So some go on in our park here, or maybe around the fire station, residential.
I certainly hope the fine is steep enough that we benefit from it. We're not just selling space for trees.
I know. Yeah, we've raised that issue.
She can't hear you.
Who can't hear me?
Laura.
You can't hear me? Yeah, we can't hear him.
Secretary needs to be writing down.
At another time.
Yeah. Yeah, speak into that mic, sir. Sir, if you can speak into that mic, then we can get you on record.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
So I think the people expect, you're not elected officials, well,
no,
some of you are.
No, none of us were appointed.
But you represent the people. You have to protect us from people cutting down trees. And all that land is going to end up, that was a sterile picture. Didn't it look sterile to you?
Well, there's going to be a tree survey. I'm pretty confident that we'll require a tree survey. If this is all passed through, there'll be a tree survey. Many of those trees, what we've been told so far, are not good quality trees. They're invasive trees, as already was mentioned. So there's not a problem taking those trees down.
I hope we use someone like the University of Michigan's department, not some commercial company that benefits from taking down trees.
Right.
Somebody neutral, somebody we can trust. So the people of Plymouth Township expect you guys to save some trees for us.
We're very aware, and there's a number of, I think as a group, we're very concerned about trees, and we've got two individual commissioners that are probably the most vocal as it relates to trees.
The other thing that, when Kyle was talking, when he showed you that overview, that graph, wasn't a picture, they explained that they didn't put any of the trees in that so we could see the buildings clearly, but that there was going to be several trees left in there, so.
Yeah, that space they had in the middle, but it said nature and play, but people aren't going to go there and walk those paths if it's all sunshine.
Right.
Have a restaurant with outside seating or something.
Yeah, we'll be covering that. If this passes today, today, and it goes through all these various steps, that's part of the site plan approval where we'll talk about that in greater detail. We can't, we don't get into that deep of a discussion at this point of the
Yeah.
process.
And they had no business plan. They had no evaluation of whether any of those businesses would work.
That's true, that is
not
not
necessarily
necessarily right. That's not, we don't know that. We don't base, we don't turn around and say, let's say Ann Arbor Road, there cannot be any more coffee shops because there are already too many. We cannot pick losers and winners, and that's up to the individual developer to make sure they're taking that risk.
Sure, I'm sure they think these are wonderful ideas and it's going to boom and they're all going to be very successful and that would be nice, but do you take into consideration the chances of them being business successful?
That's not a factor.
No.
No.
We're not allowed.
We're not allowed to do that.
So
An entrepreneur is not required to share their business plan in a public
saving some
forum.
trees for us.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are, to answer your question.
Okay.
Okay, there are good plans to protect trees, right, but it's early in the process, right? And what I don't ever want to see happen is something that happened prior to me being.
Wait, can you move your mic back, because now we can't hear you.
We protect trees, right? They're valued members and residents of the community, just to let you know. Two of us are very particular about it, right? Plans that go whack trees are not good plans in my book, okay? And those developers hear about it. But it's so early, right, that I'm certain these applicants will probably come up with doing exactly what you have to do, which is measure, mark them, record them, submit it, and show us what the plan is to replace those that you take down. There are bad trees, like the gentleman mentioned, and good ones.
Okay,
That
we have
comes
to move
later in the
along.
process.
It'll happen. They'll be protected.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep,
we understand. The trees are too.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Oh. Okay.
Hello, I'm Carrie Gray. I'm a Plymouth Township resident, and I'm also a tenant on the property, so I own Tilly's Flower Farm, so if you're driving on Lily Road, it's all the flowers there. I'm also an urban forester, so I work for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. I know a lot about trees. There are a lot of invasive trees on that site. So tree of heaven, invasive species.
Invasive, okay.
Tree of heaven being the biggest one, as Adam mentioned, so that one gets spotted lanternfly, and it's just coming into Michigan. It's more of a nuisance pest, but when it comes, it's pretty much of a nuisance. So removing those trees would actually be a benefit to the property, in addition to some of the other invasives on the site. So, but I do have a tree background, so, and, I'm a tenant on the site. I love flowers and trees, so I'm, gonna help them as they make those designs. And to that gentleman's point about there not being trees on the concept plan, well, it's concept plan, and if you showed the trees, it's a little bit difficult to see all the features that are gonna be on the site, but I have no doubt that there'll be a lot of trees to replace the ones that are removed.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jan Melinak. I live at 9,000 Hackberry, which in order to get out of the sub, as Ken Phillips has said.
Can you direct to us?
Oh, I'm
'Cause
sorry.
When you move away from the mic, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay?
Away
thanks.
from the mic?
No.
Oh, okay.
Toward the mic. When
All right.
you were speaking away from it, so
Okay,
then.
all right, no
Yeah,
problem.
thanks.
I agree with Ken Phillips, who came up here before. I use Revere to go out of the subdivision also. My concern is the driveway that they're proposing that will be right across the street, just about from Revere. And if people are going to try to make a left-hand turn out of that side, I think that's going to be a big issue because it's very close to the intersection of Joy and Lily. I do think, and I think in some of the other meetings I've been to about other things like SPARS, the the Elks property. They were talking about doing traffic studies, and I don't know, I think one was done over at Elks, and I'm waiting for all those condos and townhouses to open and see what that's going to be like, but that supposedly was not going to generate that much traffic. I disagree with that, and I'm concerned about this development going in. My concern also is about empty buildings. I go to LA Fitness a couple times a week, and all those rental properties are still vacant after, it's got to be at least 3 years. We have open places over at Ann Arbor Road and Lilly on the northwest corner. I believe that's Plymouth, but the 2 buildings on the outskirts have never been filled. And we have a Wendy's that's gone out of business. There's several I can think of on Joy Road. So that is a concern of mine, that since it seems very questionable what's going to go in at that corner, could be some more empty buildings in the future. And then the last thing is the 221 possible parking spots. That sounds like it's about half the property would be cement. And I agree about the trees, about your previous speaker. That concerns me, and I understand that there's invasive species, but I just wonder how much of that property is going to be cement and buildings and not much of any greenery. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they proposing a driveway off of Lilly?
Yeah.
Okay,
Toward the,
I missed that.
Yeah,
toward
on the north end, Bob.
Away from Joy.
Northeast corner, or
They're putting a
northwest
second
corner.
one on the south on Joy Road, so it's further from the traffic
Right
light.
around here.
so Laura, just to clarify, Courtney, I'm looking back at your report, so the parking and other pavement constitutes about 54% of the property, the total?
As proposed.
Yeah, as proposed. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Then we will close the public hearing at 8:27. And if the applicant can come forward.
We gotta make a motion.
Make a motion that we close the public
Do
hearing?
we have to close it too? Okay, so is there a motion to close the
Make a
public hearing?
motion.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner, pardon?
Yeah.
Closed by, motion by Commissioner Ladowig and supported by Commissioner Boyd to close the public hearing at 8:27. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I don't know if you can answer this question or if I should direct it to Laura, but one of the questions, of course, was the right-of-way. Who owns that right-of-way? Do you know?
I didn't actually hear that
That
question.
comment?
Or yeah, that comment.
The lady that lives right close to your development, there's a
Sorry.
strip.
I did hear that. No, I mean, we're not, go.
So this is probably, should be checked, but I have before, early on in this process, when I was more in like panic mode, I did sit down with developers and they went pretty far in making a plan of condos for this property. And they said, so again, check it, that that's actually owned by the condos.
So next to. I
Yeah,
know.
next to the single-family residence. The condos, I think.
Are they condos
I'm
or
sorry,
apartments?
condos is too deeply ingrained. Apartments, that the apartments own that right of way, weirdly. It like goes behind the house and out to the street. Yeah, so just to the question of who owns it. Again, check me.
Laura, do you
So
know
we
by any
could, we couldn't
chance?
do anything with it. if
Right,
we
it
wanted
wouldn't,
to.
we don't own it.
Wait,
It wouldn't be
yeah, just a
anything we
moment.
could develop on.
Okay, let's find out.
Yes.
Let's find out if we can. Laura, do you know?
Oh, I can answer that. They're right. Well, that's what shows in the BSNA, that your properties own that section. So, not them.
Not us.
Could you repeat? We couldn't hear you real clear.
Oh.
Microphones are terrible
Who,
today.
what did she say?
She said your property owns the.
So, the apartments.
Oh, the apartments own that property?
Mhm, yeah.
Okay. So that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
There's a
Then-
fire hydrant in that I think too. I've glanced at that drive by there, so I think that was for like emergency access.
I think so too.
Be able to hose through.
And I don't think, Laura, nothing has been submitted as like a parallel plan or?
There's not a parallel plan, but the applicant has capped the number of units, residential units that they are proposing under the PUD to 10 units. If this entire property, if the greenhouse were demolished and the site was fully developed as multifamily, then
It'd be more than 10
Seven-
units.
71, I think.
It was in here somewhere.
Yeah, I read 71.
It's 71 dwelling units, so it's a difference of 10 to 71.
So that should answer that question.
Yep.
Okay. I'll have a comment on the traffic, which I wasn't going to mention, but I will. So when I attended your open house, your parking, and that was an unusual event, there was no place for me to park. So I ended up parking on Revere and walking, to the greenhouse. And this was about 5 o'clock. So that was really deep rush hour traffic. I did witness the difficulty of people coming off of Revere to make that left-hand turn. I also experienced the difficulty of walking along the shoulder without a sidewalk. And also when I did try to go into your parking lot to make a left turn, almost had a head-on because there's not enough stacking space on that left turn lane. So I am pleased in your proposal that you're moving it further east because it definitely needs to be separated from that intersection.
Yeah, we
I'm sure Wayne
witnessed
County would have
many
something to
accidents
say
at that
about that
intersection.
too. Your plans for your proposed cut through or, into the property to the north, will that line up with Revere or it does not?
Look right there, it's
No.
it's gotta be
No, it
south.
won't.
Yeah, it can't.
Yeah, we don't, our property doesn't extend.
Extend that far? It's right where that line of trees is?
Yeah.
Yes.
And again,
Oh,
that's,
you're
I mean, Wendy did talk to us in the community event that we had about that, and we're open to moving it. I think this was just, again, the concept plan to get here the type of, the units and space that we want on there. And again,
That we want access, I think,
yes,
too.
that helps. Yeah, we would need access on that side of the road, and it helps split, where the traffic goes and comes from. And I think just, I used SEMCOG to look at the traffic, and it's studied and you can see this is how many trips per day go on every single road. And so, Lily is not actually the most traffic north-south road, but it is, I have seen the traffic there and it's not great, especially with the construction and, when you get certain times of day. So if there's things to do that, we can help address, that's sort of what we're trying to do by dividing up the drives and all that, is to disperse it. And then with the mixed uses that are on the site, it actually doesn't concentrate, a use at a particular time of day. So it does help disperse, the traffic. And really the parking that was on the site was sort of the max. We tried to max it out based on, guessing at the highest uses in terms of needing of what is needed for parking spaces. So if we don't have to do 220 something parking spaces, we don't want to do 220 parking spaces, but that's again site plan approval stuff.
What happens to your plans if there's no entrance off of Lily? And all the traffic has to get routed off of Joy.
It dramatically changes the look of, where buildings line up and all that sort of thing. The hard part is I would say the main concept of the site, other than, working around the greenhouse, is that there's a central park area that you can walk around. And if we have to put another road from the north side all the way down through the thing, it makes the site much, much less walkable.
Seems like it would be more parking, more pavement needed to route cars around to get back out if there was just one entrance.
Plus that, I don't think the fire department would let that happen.
They like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we did meet with the fire department. We did some pre-approval stuff with you also.
Well, we already closed the public hearing, but I'll take one question only. What is it?
I was just wondering with that stamping plant next to you?
The plating
I
company.
can't hear,
Yeah, you have to come up to the mic.
You're asking about Plymouth Plating Company?
you can't.
You
Sorry.
have to
Folks,
come up to the
You can't shout
mic.
a question out across the room because our recording secretary can't hear it, and when she
Okay.
goes to do the
The
minutes.
stamping plant or whatever it is next.
Plating Company.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you thought maybe of buying that property? Or,
Does anyone, any takers? Anyone want to go for that? Could be a parking lot.
yeah.
I try and pitch that to everyone who comes in because I would love something really awesome to buy that property. It's not on our list, given we have many fish that we're frying.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a challenging site because of the, just the use. But I definitely pitch that one all the time. I would love it to be something other than industrial.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
All right, we have to
It
move
is
along.
zoned heavy industrial.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, we
that's
have
a
to
problem.
move along now because
I'm sorry.
you got your
We're
answer.
talking, thanks.
All right, thanks. All right. Questions from the commissioners?
That's, yeah.
Any questions? Comments?
I just wanted to say that right now, we're in the process of updating the township's master plan. Two of the key issues, very key issues that we're talking about are number one, trees, and number two, traffic. Trees, if you guys follow, I know you don't, but had you followed our meetings in recent years, you would have found that trees have become a major issue for us, particularly in larger developments. And we've been much more assertive about trying to get developers to not only develop their sites with trees, but to save stands of natural trees that already exist, even if they're not in perfect condition. We've also talked about the need to hire a certified arborist to do the tree studies, so we know that there's some rigor to that. As far as traffic goes, Plymouth Township does not control our roads. Unfortunately, Wayne County does. And in the case of Ann Arbor Road, it's actually MDOT. But in the master plan, we're talking about the issue of traffic congestion. We know, we don't have the final results of our homeowner survey, but we know that traffic congestion historically has been a plus for Plymouth Township versus other communities in southeast Michigan. And there's a sense that we're becoming much more congested here. So we are, my way, and I think most of us agree, we need to call out traffic congestion as an issue, and we need to work with the other communities that do control it, Wayne County and MDOT, to see what actions we can take to reduce traffic congestion in Plymouth Township. So I just want you to know that those topics are brought up here tonight, but they are also very relevant to this other project we're working on, the master plan.
Okay. Anything else related to this PUD and rezoning request? Because we're going to have to make a motion one way or the other.
Okay.
So, and Laura has done a great job giving us findings of fact. So if you don't have any questions right now, I would suggest you look at these findings in fact and determine if you agree with them or disagree, because those have to be included in the motion. See if there's any of these two topics that you do not agree to.
Well, I think Laura did a good job of trying to chunk it into two separate pieces, which is very helpful, okay? There's a lot of detail in here, which I'm impressed that was laid out well, okay? And the explanation we got at the beginning of the meeting was also really helped to clarify. I struggle with the fact that we are deferring and delaying projects because the master plan is not done, okay? And we keep getting coached and counsel and feedback. Most of it has been negative on why are you granting conditional approvals when the master plan is an update, right? So that's the first struggle I have, right? And I know we're months away not years, okay? Which I applaud the fact that we're going through it. The other thing that keeps going through my mind is people want to move and live in Plymouth Township, right? The housing demand is strong, and we just don't have the units, right? There's a huge demand because we are so old, that's me included, okay? That people want first floor masters so they're not climbing stairs, right? That is a very clear want.
How is that related to what's before us now?
Well,
I appreciate those comments, but I'm
Dennis?
trying to focus
Yeah.
the discussion.
Yeah, it violates the future land use, okay? Very clearly stated in here, right? So on the discussion, when I see on the conditional rezoning, right, there are so many conflicts that are going on, right, with what our charter is and our master plan and what the master plan will be, right? That it flies in the face of it, number one. Number two, the fact that there's another legal matter going on with another greenhouse in the township right now.
We don't even, that's a separate thing.
It may be,
It
right?
is.
But the warning bells go off that you're treating one entity this way and maybe where the township is another, and it creates a gray area and noise for the township, which is concerning.
It may create a gray area for you, but for us, we have to consider, we cannot consider that as part of our decision today.
Okay, so.
So, Laura, do you feel that this proposal is in conflict with the master plan as one of the commissioners feels?
No, I do not. On page 5 of our conditional rezoning review, we cite several goals that are furthered by this development proposal. We do note that this is not an exact match to the future land use map designation of multifamily, that it does provide multifamily, but it is not strictly multifamily. However, overall, we feel that this is aligning and moving it in the right direction.
Does that alleviate your concern?
No, it does not.
Okay.
I see 72 properties down to 10, 12, maybe 15, okay, with the land that's there, right? And I don't know what the right answer is, Dennis, right, with what could be done. And like I said, this is creative, it's out of the box, right? But the demand for housing that people want to have in this township, right, is not being satisfied. It doesn't even come close, right? It is creative. I think the commercial aspect is really out of the box, right? And it's something that the township would be unique to, right? But we have very clear demands being placed on us. I think the survey will help us, right? And at this time, not having a master plan done, right, I think it would be wrong to go forward at this time.
So so I want to be clear, I understand what you're saying and others. So are you proposing that this remain multifamily zoning?
At this time, yes.
So.
It'd be 71 apartments.
What you should do then is make a motion to deny the application for the conditional rezoning, and we take a vote on it. You agree with that, Kevin?
The commission has 3 options. Either vote to recommend the township board approve the conditional rezoning, and this is going to be an independent motion from the PUD option. The commission can recommend to the board that they deny the conditional rezoning, or they can table it for additional considerations.
Right.
But if we deny the rezoning, then does the PUD can't happen?
Becomes moot.
Right.
Correct.
If I can interject,
Yeah.
the recommendation still needs to be made for the PUD to the Board of Trustees, because the Board of Trustees could actually approve the conditional rezoning, even though your recommendation is
Right.
different.
Yeah, that's
So both need to have motions to move forward either way.
I see this a little differently. I've looked at this from a number of different angles. Most of the board members know that I'm very skeptical about mixed-use developments. However, learning about this in detail, I'm reasonably convinced that this is quite a bit different than the other mixed-use developments in southeast Michigan that have failed. I've also looked at this versus some of the other usages, versus some of the other proposals we've had as a township planning commission. I see positives on this in every possible way. other than the concern that the blue buildings at the north end have a little bit of risk associated with them because they're commercial first floor, residential second floor, and that's not a completely proven business model. But the rest of the development I see is positives in every possible way. The community involvement, the level of community support. I can't think, board members, at least from my experience, where we've ever had a proposal where it's had this level of community support and involvement, both in the involvement, but also in the development, but also in the support of it. I think the opportunity to create a community area, event, space, involve the community in these different ways, is something that the eastern part of Plymouth Township perhaps doesn't have as much capability or opportunity as the western Plymouth Township. And I think we need to look at that as a positive for eastern Plymouth Township. So overall, ideally, I would have preferred a little bit more information on the traffic survey, and I would have preferred more information on your experience with mixed-use developments in your other areas. But setting that aside, I am actually in favor of this development. So that's how I see it.
What was the last thing you said, Tim?
That I would have preferred to have a little bit more information on the traffic study and also on Kyle's prior experience with the mixed-use development piece, the commercial first floor, residential second floor. But at this point, the positives outweigh the negative to the point where I feel that this proposal has so many positives that we should go ahead and take a chance on it and recommend it to the board.
Agreed. So we need a motion?
We need two motions, actually.
That one at a time, or?
No.
Yeah, you need two motions. I would say the first one would have to be whatever you feel about the conditional rezoning, and then the second would be the PUD.
Only after we vote on the first one?
Right.
Okay.
Do you agree with that, Laura?
Well, but there's actually,
Am I right?
Bill, did you want to make a motion, Bill, recommending not approval first? Wouldn't that be, we would vote on that?
Do you want to place that as a?
It's on the, if you can see the
Whether
screen,
it's
it's on the
a
screen.
non-approval or approval, right, in my eyes, it's equivalent, right? If a non-approval motion comes forward and it passes, fine, it's dead. If it fails, then it sounds like it passes.
Right.
Which is a weird way of saying it.
Yeah, but not automatically. You could still have a deadlock. I'm not trying to, I wasn't trying to, bait you into something. That wasn't what I was trying to do. I just said, if you feel that strong, make a motion to recommend denial, or somebody else can make a motion to recommend approval, but we need to do one or the other.
Well, I'll make a motion that we follow the master plan as is, right? And we wait to publish the new master plan before we entertain another variance and another conditional.
So you're making a motion to recommend denial?
Correct. Yes.
Of the rezoning?
Yes.
Okay, and what's your findings of fact?
Findings of fact are, number one, the data. I've been through the 17, right? It was great to have the public invitation where they could come see and learn about it, number one. And
Can you put it in a motion?
oh, yeah. Finding of fact is, number one, there is a traffic problem there. We don't know what the solution is. We have a master plan. We're not following it, okay? And I think we should. We should know the traffic, number one. We should follow master plan, number two, right? And if we want to make this part of the master plan, change going forward, great, but we're not there now.
Did you get that? You have to be a little bit more.
I'll be succinct.
Yeah.
My motion is deny the proposal as written to rezone.
May I make just a comment before the commission votes on this? If the commission denies the rezoning request, then the applicant can't refile unless there's substantial changes in the application for a period of 1 year. If the commission decides to table the applications or applicant's request until after the new master zone or the master plan is passed, that would not lay that requirement of 1 year on the applicant.
Then I'll restate the motion, okay? To table this proposal as is.
To table it?
Yeah. I don't want to penalize somebody 12 months, 365 days, right? I do think the master plan being published and approved by the Board of Trustees happens in the next 5 months.
January.
Okay, 6 months, fine.
So
That's less
you
time.
Postpone it for how long?
6 months.
6 months?
Let's finish and get the master plan through.
And that would be cutting it for January, would be in January. You might want to consider 7 or 8
7.
months.
I'll make it 7 months.
Okay.
If that makes you feel better.
Well, I'm just thinking about the timing.
Chairman Sobalski, could I interject?
Yeah, sure.
The review of the master plan and approval of the updated master plan is a routine process for any municipality. It should not hinder development proposals as they arrive unless the municipality by the Board of Trustees has set a moratorium on development. So we need to treat all development projects the same. If others are being considered and approved and moving forward, this would not be treating applicants uniformly. I would not recommend tabling until the master plan is adopted.
Can I also, I don't want to, make this more confusing, but I was trying to find in your 2 reports here that if they find that this plan that they're going to come up with is not successful, it reverts back to the original. Can you clarify that? I couldn't find it real quickly in your report.
Correct. If the planned unit development is not finalized with their proposed uses, then the conditional rezoning is moot and the property reverts back to its current designation, which is multifamily.
It's another consideration, but you have a motion on the floor then?
My motion is to delay this by 7 months, to table it.
Is there support? Okay, then the motion dies, the lack of
Understood.
support, okay? All right, so now where do we go from here?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
On subject 2564, Gray's Greenhouse, rezoning, on finding of fact, do you want me to read all of them? Or
Just
you
say,
can- as stated in.
Okay, as stated in Kenna's report of July 8th, I approve the rezoning of,
you recommend.
I recommend, that's right, recommend the rezoning
For
of that
approval
property.
to the Board of Trustees.
Oh,
Actually, just
yeah, there it is.
just read right there.
I recommend for approval to the Board of Trustees based on those findings.
Second.
I knew I
Moved
had
by Commissioner Lattawick and supported by Commissioner Pop to recommend to the Board of Trustees the conditional rezoning for application 2564. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, so Commissioner Ikes opposes, but the motion does carry.
Yep.
All right. What about the PUD? What's the feelings on the PUD?
I will also make a motion on that
Okay.
one. On subject 2564, Gray's Greenhouse, thank you. I make a motion to approve movement to the Board of Trustees for the PUD option on this property by the finding of McKinnon's report.
Support.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Lattawick and supported by Commissioner Boyd to recommend to the Board of Trustees the PUD. I guess it's the same application, 2564. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, motion carries with Commissioner Ikes opposing. All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay. Am I allowed to pee or no? Real quick. I can't help it. I won't adjourn the meeting, but real quick.
So,
He just did.
oh, yeah, we're going to do
To the flex space.
flex, yes, yes. No, it's okay.
During the meeting,
It's okay.
I just got so frustrated at one point.
I promise I'll be more.
Yeah, fine, Carl. Good luck, you know, you guys.
Right?
We're taking a chance.
And I don't take that lightly. I really don't.
I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
You've got, you know, more steps to go through here, but this is a big first step.
Yep, good luck.
Sorry, well, I knew that, but I didn't put a comment.
So once you guys get these.
Please, if I could have helped it, I wouldn't. So, I mean, I guess I could have helped it, but it's like, I don't know how long these other things are gonna take. I found out
You know, Cherry Hill Village, those are starting to pick up and all that down, you haven't been down, I was just down there.
I know, but it's been 20 years.
Well, that was because of just poor management. That's the same thing with Mayflower. Mayflower, that was built by a guy that went bankrupt, put too much money into rent. I don't know how that spot survived it. When she first moved in there, she was paying $10,000 a month for that.
Back in order and this house
Thank you, Commissioners. This is for application 2556, also known as Plymouth Flex.
Did your mic?
Yes, it is. I'm going to speak louder. Okay. So this is the final site plan for Plymouth Flex development. The parcel is located on Schoolcraft Road, just south of the Hidden Falls Sikh Temple. The property is zoned OR, Office Research with a Plan Unit Development, and the proposed use of Flex Office is permitted within based off of the PUD. The project does comply with all dimensional standards within the OR district and the PUD. Going over preservation of site features, so the subject site is currently wooded and will be significantly altered to accommodate the proposed development. Based on the feedback from the commission during the tentative site plan review, tree number 402, which is a 50+ DBH red oak, will be saved as part of this process. So the tree replacement is required at a ratio of 1 inch caliper for every 4 inches DBH removed. Based on the tree removals, a total of 160.5 inches of replacement trees are required, and the landscape plan proposes 163 inches of replacement trees.
You gotta talk louder.
Really? Okay, okay. So although the wooded character of the site will be significantly altered, the proposal meets the ordinance standards. A minimum of 20% of the site must be preserved as open space in a PUD. This is accomplished. They are approximately proposing 42% of the total site. And part of that is a civic space, a gathering area near the rear of the property, which they were able to save a number of trees in that picnic area that are existing.
So, sorry, what section are you on in your?
3.
Section 3, okay, let me catch up with you here. I went ahead. Preservation of site features, got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to section 4. Based on the engineering department's review, the project is not expected to place any additional demand on public services. Section 5, the proposed vehicular layout supports internal connectivity and efficient circulation. That is consistent with the goals of both the zoning ordinance and PUD. Section 6, pedestrian access and circulation. In the previous site plan, there was no sidewalk from the public right-of-way. They have added that along Schoolcraft, and it will go up against the west side of the property, going directly to Building A, is how that access will work for this site. So it does accomplish the internal circulation requirement from the public right-of-way and internally. Number 7, emergency access. The site plan illustrates adequate fire lane circulation. Number 8, landscaping and screening. For the most part, they do meet these requirements. We did note that the PUD overlay requires landscape parking islands for every 15 parking spaces. There was a mistake in the report. It says there was two actual landscape islands. That's actually 7. There are 7 on the site plan. They do separate, they come in after 15 spaces. So they are stopping that long line of parking spaces from just being parking spaces. There are 7 of them. They're required to have 10. However, they can fit those in nicely on the site plan, but it's not a major concern. They are meeting the intent of this, this code section. Number 9, fencing. A 6-foot private fence is proposed behind buildings C and D. Parking and loading. So as part of the PUD, the township permitted an alternative standard for calculating required parking. So the total amount that would be required would be 7 spaces based off of that alternative standard. They are proposing 172. The site does require a total of 6 barrier-free parking spaces, but only 5 are on the site plan. So that is a condition of approval that they do increase that to 1 more. Number 11, building design and architecture. Last time, building A, the facade facing the Sikh temple, was a little plain, had just one roof line. They have changed that. They've added a variation of material similar to the front, and then also added some more roof line variations to the rear. All the other buildings as well, including now building A, they features varied roof lines, projections, material changes that help break up the building mass and provide visual interest, which is consistent with the township's intent to avoid blank walls and overly uniform facades. Exterior lighting. All proposed fixtures are fully shielded and directed downward to prevent glare and light spill onto adjacent properties. The lighting levels on the plan do not exceed 3-foot candles on average across the site, which meets this standard. So we are recommending approval of the final site plan with the 2 conditions. One to increasing to the free or barrier-free parking spaces up to 6, and then the landscaping portion for the landscape islands was added in there as well when we thought there was only 2, but there are 7 now. So that condition could be taken out if you guys feel that has been met. I'm happy to take any questions right now or wait till you guys are ready. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hart. And the engineering report?
Good evening. We have received the final site plan submittal for the Plymouth Flex project prepared by Monument Engineering Group Associates, and our letter is dated July 9 of this year.
Could you speak into the mic a little louder? We're having trouble hearing you.
Oh, sorry. Last time I was too close. Okay, good. Yeah, so as I was saying, we did review this in the tentative. We had a few comments on the water main and the storm. Overall, they addressed all our concerns from our previous report. We don't have any issues as they're providing water, sanitary, and storm on the site. The only remaining comments that we still want to note at this time is that the adjacent Virginia Tile development is currently under construction, and this is a site that basically they're going to be sharing utilities and driveway. So we want to make sure that this it's coordinated, the projects, as they will need the Virginia Tile site for this development to be built. Additionally, there has been previous discussion and correspondence with the developer on the sanitary and water leads for this development. The Township's DPW department has agreed to 1 lead per building under the following conditions. Water cross-connection control containment for each building, and it shall be detailed in the bylaws and master deed. The HOA's utilities responsibility. These documents will need to be provided for review and approval during our engineering review. And we are also recommending that the 8.5 radius driveway be redesigned as a 15 radius to allow for a better circulation. We had already commented on the traffic that we really did not have concerns. We don't have all the information given that the uses of the units might vary, but overall we feel that there won't be any issues, and therefore we are approving final site plan approval of the plans.
She said what? They're proposing what? Oh, recommending final approval?
Yeah, final approval, sorry.
Okay. And the applicant is here?
What need to sign in as well? Okay, no problem. Good evening. First off, we appreciate you guys changing the agenda to move us up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was appreciated. Alan Pruss with Monument Engineering, 298 Veterans Drive in Fowlerville. So we received the review letters from your consultants, the planner, the engineer, and earlier today we did receive our review from Wayne County. I forwarded that on to both the engineer and the planner so that they're up to speed on any additional comments. I'll kind of go backwards with Wayne County. Their comments were mainly stormwater management related, so basically engineering. They don't have any comments for right-of-way, for the drain commissioner or traffic. We're in good shape there. To Luisa's comment about the engineering, their letter is basically kind of prepping us for the engineering submittal. She mentioned the one radius change. I don't see a problem with changing that radius. That's on the shared driveways, that portion that goes into our site. I don't know who's controlling, but there you go. If you can bring up our sheet C 1.1 or 1.0, which was our paving and dimension plan. If you can keep going, yes, thank you.
Tell me when to stop.
Okay. Right there, please. Thank you. If you can zoom out a little bit, but the radius Louisa was talking about is down at shared driveway there. It's an 8.5-foot radius, and we will make it a 15-foot radius. So based on your consultant's review letters and some feedback that we received at the Board of Trustees meeting in May, we did make some changes, some modifications, I'll say, to the plans. Part of our stormwater management, we added bioretention swales. So more of a kind of a swale situation that will treat the water prior to it going into the detention basin, a little bit more green, a little bit more green friendly, excuse me. I do want to point out there are 6 barrier-free spaces. I think one of them might have been masked by some dimensioning. So we do have one on building A, we have 2 on the south side of building B, 1 on the south side of building C, and then the south side of D at the east side, and on the east side of D, there is 2 spaces there. I think there's some dimensioning was covering up some of the, no? Are you able to zoom in at all?
Where am I zooming?
I can go up. Can I walk up there and point them out to?
Yeah.
I think it's okay. The landscape plan isn't showing the addition of the 6 barrier-free, but the site plan is showing it's just covered a little bit.
Yeah. So we are showing 6 barrier-free spaces. I just wanted to clarify that. The landscape island issue, we just need to shift it. A couple of the islands, we need to shift it one way or another to break up the more than 15 spaces in a row. So we will do that. That's not an issue. One of the things that we took to heart was the trees. We were able to save a heritage tree up front by, I'll say, bending the sidewalk around the tree. The other heritage tree that came up during our Board of Trustees meeting was in the detention basin, so unfortunately we weren't able to save that one. But as pointed out by the planner, up in the picnic area, we were able to save another 9 trees. So basically what we did there was we left the grading in that area to save those trees, graded around it, added a little landscape wall, and some drainage, like yard drain structures to provide drainage. So we did listen. I don't want the board or the commission to think that we were just shaking our head to appease the Board of Trustees. We did make those changes.
Well, we appreciate your good faith efforts on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If we could have saved more, we would have. Also, we did add a lot of screening along the west property line as requested to screen us from the Sikh temple a little bit better, on top of making the architectural changes. We do have the applicant, Mark Roberts, and the contractor, Craig Stockard with Brevard. Brevard is on the site next door at Virginia Tile. We do have some material samples for the commission, and we are happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Well, let's look at the material samples, and then we can gather all our questions in one sitting.
This is the privacy fence.
For example.
We're down here.
You can just walk it around, or we can pass it down. Yeah.
This is not the actual color, but this is sort of the format of what the siding portion of the project will look like. And then these are more in line with some of the colors. Those are will be actual full art, just as the samples come into the basic pieces on that.
So what was this part, the siding that you said?
Yeah, they're bricks.
This sample, here's the siding?
This area here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this, for what it's worth, I don't do renderings and everything, but this is a duplicate project they're doing in Georgia. So that literally is what
we're
it's going to
getting?
be very close to what it would actually look like.
Here. So this siding, did you say it's not that color, or?
No, it's the lighter color.
Oh, it's the lighter color.
It's just, that's just the.
So is this like a hardy board?
LP. I mean, I would think it'd be like metal or something like that, so.
Like a
I
hardy-
like the idea.
Like a hardy board?
Yeah.
Any colors,
It's,
will you offer 4 or 5?
Yeah.
it's sort of like a
It'll give
plastic.
them everything.
They're neutral tone, they're good.
Yeah, I like it, I have it on my house, it's very sturdy.
Okay.
What is it, siding? Siding. And where did you say that building is being built? This one here?
Georgia. That one's in Georgia.
In Georgia?
So it would
It's
be
gonna
kind of like, very
very,
okay.
very similar to that.
Okay.
Where in Georgia, just out of curiosity? Okay. Alpharetta's a, for
Near
those
Atlanta.
that don't know, a pretty upscale
Is it near Atlanta?
suburb north of Atlanta. Very similar to Plymouth Township in a lot of ways.
So the doors go right into the unit or they're, okay. So you have this door plus this, yeah, everyone gets two, yeah, okay. And they all have potential for second floor, but
Mezzanine, right?
they'll have to do it themselves? Because they're,
No,
they're,
it's an option at work.
that you're gonna
It's
do,
an
okay.
insert, it's not,
That they have.
yeah, it's like an insert that goes,
It'll be, there's an area in the back.
the loft,
It'll be an
Mezzanine.
option for
yeah,
basically a second floor mezzanine.
yeah.
So can that be removed if if they sell it and someone else doesn't want it?
Yeah, it'd be a steel molded structure.
Oh.
It's not load bearing.
Yeah.
Is that the color of the fencing over there? Is that the same? Is that the color you're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
use?
just a
Okay,
PVC.
yeah.
Smaller version of what it would actually look like.
Questions from anybody?
No, not a question. They came back and saved 9 trees. You guys went above and beyond, including keeping the 58-inch one on the corner,
I
so,
know you had big
thank you.
concerns with the back building.
Yeah.
So we're actually only removing 2 heritage trees, and all the rest are literally invasive.
which is great. So thank you for re-looking at it one more time.
Absolutely.
It's a good suggestion, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else with anything?
No,
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Well, is there a motion to,
Mr. Chair, based on compliance with Article 29 Site Plan Review Standards and Article 23 Plan Unit Development of the zoning ordinance, it's recommended that the Planning Commission grant final site approval for the Plymouth Flex development at PC application number 2556, subject to the condition that the landscape plan shall be revised to increase parking lot landscaping to meet the minimum 15 square feet per parking space and provide additional landscape islands in accordance with the PUD overlay standards.
Like the second.
Who's supported? Okay, Bill, okay. Moved by Commissioner Boyd and supported by Commissioner Ikes to approve application 2556, subject to said conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck. Welcome to the township. Next is the text amendment to the zoning ordinance. And Laura, you lead off that discussion.
Yes, thank you. So at the study session earlier this month, we discussed this draft text for the exterior lighting. The public hearing is tonight. We have not received any written comments to the planning department. The administration would like to see this move forward so that it can be adopted before some other projects come in later this summer and fall. Again, this does not change any of the residential lighting requirements. Those have stayed the same. This is just for industrial, commercial, and to improve the transition between commercial and industrial to residential to reduce glare and off-site impacts.
Okay. Well, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Mr. Chair, I move we open the public hearing on the exterior lighting requirements proposed text amendment.
Is there support?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Boyd and supported by Commissioner Ikes to open the public hearing at 9:21. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I
Anyone
make a
here
motion
wishes
to
to
close the public
speak?
hearing.
No, we have to see, somebody might
I'll
rush in
second
the
it.
door, they've been
I'll second
waiting.
it.
Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing at,
I make a
did I say
motion.
9:20?
I'll second his motion.
Okay, all right, so it was moved by Commissioner Ladwick, supported by Commissioner Ikes to close public hearing. Any discussion?
So I assume and I'm sorry, I didn't read the current, but it's, I assume similar to this, so this just strengthens it a little bit?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And most developers are already doing, I mean, they pretty much understand this, right? No?
You say that loud.
Well,
Okay.
we need to have the guidelines in place so it's really clear to them what's allowed, especially at the property line.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a chief complaint, well, dark skies is, people are getting more sensitive to it now, but in the past, before people were aware of it, people were coming in, always concerned about lighting spillage over adjacent properties, particularly if it was near or close to the residential neighborhood. So this helps beef it up a bit and is more sensitive to the whole dark skies movement.
Yeah.
If there,
So this is a text amendment to the ordinance that would have to be approved by the Board of Trustees, correct?
Correct.
we have a motion to recommend approval.
I recommend approval of, hang on.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Dorchevitz and supported by Commissioner Boyd to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees on the text amendment to zoning ordinance 99, Article 28. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And we have the monthly report. Any questions?
I had one. And the proposal for a lot split on 9011 Elmhurst. After that lot split, will that lot be less wide than the other lots in Green Meadows, or will it be more or less similar to the existing lot widths in other parts of Green Meadows?
It will be similar to the existing lots.
Okay.
They're following the platted lot lines for those.
Okay.
Which one, Tim?
It's 9011 Elmhurst, which is in Green Meadows.
2562.
Third from the bottom.
Yeah, third from the bottom, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on the
No, report? No.
Okay, we'll just order it, receive and file. I don't think anyone wants to spend any time talking about the master plan tonight, but the steering committee is meeting tomorrow morning at 8 to move that project along. Unless, Laura, do you have anything you wanted to say about the master plan?
I just wanted to pass out, we closed the survey Monday. 213 responses. I'm gonna email this out. The full report is 80 pages, so I have an abbreviated one for most of you.
That's a lot of reading for tonight.
The three of you have the full printout of all the 80 pages.
Do we get the summary? Or you're going to send out the summary?
I will.
Oh, okay. Oh, this will be good.
It'll be interesting reading tonight.
Yes, it will be.
No, I think it's great.
There's a lot to study here. I'm happy with the responses. What does it mean? You have answered 802, but skipped where 11, so people skip the whole survey or portions of the survey or?
Just that question.
Oh, just that question?
Yeah.
Oh, I
They
see,
could
I
choose
see.
to skip one if they didn't want to answer.
Oh, okay,
So it
okay,
tells you the number
Right.
that did.
okay.
Especially the open-ended questions, like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe 500 people actually provided an additional response to those because it wasn't required.
40% have lived here 25 years.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's right.
Bill, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just on page 1, the difference between blue bars and green.
Oh, that relates to the top two. What was the number one contributing factor? What was the number two? Green is factor number one. So things with higher green signify higher importance.
Okay, thank you.
Did you do an age question or no?
Yes. It's skewing towards an older population.
But it's not on this summary, or unless I missed
I
it.
could
Like
see.
the alarm for 4 in the morning.
It should be.
Well,
So, should we bring a gallon of coffee?
Yeah, what do you guys want for coffee in the morning?
Get one of those
No.
jugs for Panera.
69
I was just
Coffee, skip the coffee.
It's not in that one, but the full results that I'll email
Okay.
out, it will be in there.
all right, fine.
It's tomorrow, 2 hours.
I mean, I'm just more curious, because my opinion is it's an older crowd, but,
It was,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, if they lived here 25 years or more, they're at least 25 years old.
Excellent deduction.
Any other questions on the survey? Okay. Any comments from the commission?
I have one. Last time I raised the question about the St. John's townhomes and the preservation of trees relative to the approval. The site plan final approval was April of last year, and I found the paperwork. The tree survey actually had 343 trees, and 88 of them at the time were not to be removed. However, when you actually look on the site plan, a good number of those trees on that tree survey are not actually on this development. They're on other parts of the St. John's, adjacent areas of the St. John's resort. So it's kind of hard to tell, but it would appear that the trees that were to be preserved were on the central part of the far eastern border in the southeast corner of the property. I would like to suggest, if it hasn't already been done, that we ask the building department just to do a bit of a spot check. I don't want them to look at every individual tree and inventory it, just do a bit of a spot check and see if there are trees that are still being preserved in the center of the eastern border, in the southeast corner of the border, unless, Laura, you have a further update for us.
Pulte did provide some information, and I'll be able to share that with you guys tomorrow morning, and I can send out additional correspondence to the whole commission if you like.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Do you think they cut more down than what?
I don't know. I just.
Because they certainly cut a lot down.
Yeah, and I guess the plan that we approved
Yeah.
showed most of them being cut down.
Oh, okay.
I just want to
okay.
make sure that the ones that weren't to be cut down actually were not cut down.
Okay, okay.
Which there are not very many, but just to make sure.
No, I was just curious, because, yeah, it's, one day there's a bunch of trees, and the next day they're gone, yeah, it's pretty dramatic, yeah.
And if they did cut something down, then there is a penalty.
Or they have to plant more.
Well, I think that's to be discussed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are consequences.
Yeah. And those are more those three-story townhome things?
Yeah.
I think we have enough three-story townhome things in this township.
How much is too many?
When the Elks is done and when St. John's is done, I think
It's
that's
enough?
over
okay.
too many. I think we have enough, but I don't know, that's my opinion.
That's a master plan subject, actually.
That's, we have enough three-story townhomes, you know. It's my opinion.
Any other questions or comments from anybody?
Just one question.
Okay.
It's a point of question on question number 7, okay? I just want to verify, these are by precinct number, 1 through 12? Okay, perfect. That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn at 9:31?
Motion to adjourn the Planning Commission meeting of July 16th.
Second.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Hikes and supported by.
Commissioner Hikes.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. The motion was made by. Oh,
Seconded. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
Yep.
right. I messed up, I heard you last, so moved by Commissioner Pop
Yeah.
and supported by Commissioner Hikes
Yeah.
to adjourn at 9:31. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, we're adjourned.